welcome to round 4 of the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores. Maitland, New South Wales placed host for us this weekend with the Maitland District Motorcycle Club is one of the oldest motorcycle clubs in Australia. Operating since the 1920s, it's seen plenty of champions line up behind these gates. I'm Rihanna Green, and as always, alongside me, the 11 times national motocross champion, Lee Hogan. Lee, so great to finally be back racing. It's been a little bit of a time.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to sort of pinch yourself to believe that we're here, but it feels good. Round 3, can't wait to get into it. Track looks fantastic. The atmosphere, it's electric. Let's do it.
Of course, it's been a pretty difficult couple of weeks for everybody, but we're here, we're racing under COVID-safe conditions, and we're super excited about that. But if we wind our memories back 8 weeks ago, last time we were at Canberra, what a weekend we had. Round 2,
it was spectacular. There's a few highlights for me. I like to see the little bump from Kurt Gibbs onto Luke Clout, not only for obviously the fact that he took the win, he did great, but what I'm talking about is it shows that there's not just our top 2 or 3 key players. There's plenty of people that are in there in the mix and trying to prove that they're in there all the way for the championship haul.
And if we look at the Pirelli MX2 Championship, Kyle Webster currently undefeated at the moment. Can anyone touch him this weekend?
Oh, he's in a league of his own. He is undefeated. As you said, he's won every moto, and even here today, he's gone out in qualifying and he's the fastest. It's not so much his speed, it's actually his consistency and ease in which he's doing it at the moment that must be very scary for his competitors.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what he can do. Let's take a look at the championship points at the moment for the Thor MX1 Championship. It's Regan Duffy sitting nicely on top on 85 points. Todd Waters in second. Hayden Melleros, he had a great time last time out at Canberra there. Luke Clout, he'll be wanting to get some points back this weekend in 72 points. Kurt Gibbs, Brett Metcalf, Jaden Ruck is unfortunately not here this weekend. Jay Walker, Maximum Purvis and Jay Lamb. Lee, Regan Duffy, Luke Clout. There's a lot of fire between the two of them at the moment.
Yeah, I love the rivalry going on there, and also when you consider Regan Duffy is the new kid on the block, you expect him to do good at 1 round, maybe 2. You don't expect the consistency that we're seeing from him time and time again. It's a great time in Australian motocross to have a kid like this doing what he's doing.
Let's take a look at the track they're racing on this weekend with our Michelin track preview.
As we jump right into the Michelin track preview this week at Maitland, the riders are going to be presented with some new challenges. The first of that being right here on the start line. Now, we're used to the guys getting out on the dirt, plenty of grip. We'll see the bikes wheelie all the time coming out the start gate, but right here, it's the first of 2 tracks we see this year that we have an actual concrete start. Now, it's not just the one piece of the concrete. We've got 2 different elements to this. The back wheel actually sits on this very smooth part of the concrete, which will enable a lot more wheel spin before they get moving into a much grippier, coarser part of the concrete right here, where it will give them a little bit more traction. Not a heap, they still have to be very gentle on that clutch and throttle to ensure that they get off the gate with plenty of drive. It doesn't end there though. As soon as they get off the concrete, they move on to this part here where it actually steps down onto the dirt. Now, you're going to get a lot more drive once they hit the dirt, but they'll also get that front wheel in the air, so something they have to keep in mind when they get off the start. The third part of that is actually the start straight. Really important that we get a good qualifying session here. If you get a bad time, you're going to be stuck right onto the outside of this start gate. Now, I've stepped it out and calculated. It's another 15 meters to travel to get to the first turn. So the guy that gets on the outside is going to have a massive disadvantage. And it really shows the importance of making sure you get yourself a good qualifying time. If you're stuck on the outside, it's very likely you're going to have a bad day on the start gate. Over to you, Lee.
Well, thanks, Hammy. Okay, as you can see, we're on the opposite part of the track here at the AMX Superstores sand section, which essentially encapsulates this short straight and into this high-speed right-hand turn here. Now, at the moment, it's very smooth, no bumps at all. But let me tell you, this is going to get rough, it's going to get whooped out, and it's going to provide plenty of passing opportunities. Now, it's going to provide a few curveballs as well for not only the riders, but the teams. They've got to think about tyre selection, they've got to think about suspension setup. Let's talk about those riders. Both riders carrying the red plate, Regan Duffy in the MX1, Kyle Webster in the MX2. They're both sand gropers. They love this stuff. Watch this space, trust me. All right, back to you, Hammy.
Thanks, Lee. Well, the final part of this weekend is simply the ground surface as well. We've seen a few different areas already. We've got the hard pack area over there, the start's rock hard. We've got the sand down the back, and the rest of the track is rip deep. Right here, you can see it. massive holes, big chunks of dirt that are going to develop into all of these huge ruts around the track. Now, if you are unable to ride ruts, you're going to have a bad day, I can promise you. This here is going to be a big key about getting around and getting good position in the races for the day. And that there is our Michelin track preview for Maitland. Well, we are here at Maitland. Awesome to be racing after the almost a little hiccups as we're leading into this one. And we've got the AMX Superstores MX1 pole shootout. Lee Hogan out on the track at the moment. These boys have been out and they've had a look at the track already, but this is their pole shootout. Very important for them to set down some fast times. Of course, we did get our top 10 out of their qualifying session. These top 10 go out again and they do some more fast laps. The beauty of this is that they were second on track in the opening sessions of their practice and qualifying. So they did see a track that was rather muddy, rather clumpy, and the lines hadn't fully developed to that point. So the top 10 guys out there at the moment, they've got a big advantage because they are now seeing a different track, something closer to what it will be like when they get out there for their first race.
Danny, you're exactly right. It feels fantastic to be here after the whole build-up. We weren't sure what was going to happen. And even last night, with everything that was going on, man, I got to tell you, it feels good to be sitting here watching these guys doing what they're doing. Luke Clout, he was phenomenal. We expected it. This is his domain. It's his type of track. We're in his home state, and he laid down the gauntlet in time qualifying with the fastest time. Got himself a 1:49.008. However, there were 5 riders that were in the 1:49s. Todd Waters was second fastest, Brett Metcalf, Matt Moss, and Regan Duffy, the arch nemesis to Luke Clout, also there in the top 5, all on that 1:49 bracket. So it's very, very close here. However, it's looking dangerous for the competitors when Luke Clout's on this kind of a run at the moment. He's on screen at the moment. He looks fantastic. It's going to be hard to stop this guy today. And if we look back just a couple of weeks ago, Hammy, in Regan Duffy's home state of Western Australia, he's the king over there in the sand groper. He got beaten by Luke Clout and manned him up. Now, that's got to take a little dent to the pride, I'm going to say.
Yeah, Luke, this is 100%, this is his strong point. To win over there would absolutely throw a lot of confidence in his riding. I mean, if he does get confident, he is one of the hardest riders to beat. As we look at our first lap time, you see that Clout came over the finish line there. He threw down a screamer on his very first lap to try and set something early on in this. They've only got 8 minutes to set their times, which essentially is only around about 4 fast laps. If you take a break, like Luke Clout is doing now, that drops it back to maybe 3 flying laps. So really important to get it out there straight away. And as it stands at the moment, Luke Clout has set the fastest time as a 1:48.8, but only just in front of Matt Moss. Now, Moss knows this track. He's been here plenty of times. We expect to see him get some very quick times around here and be very competitive as well. We just need to see him have a bit more of a better day today and stay upright. And I think he can be a contender as they go into these races later on.
Well, Luke Clout's already eclipsed his fastest time of qualifying, which is great to see that so early in the pole shootout, at 1:48.8. As you mentioned, Matt Moss at 1:48.84. So close. That is just like you click, and that's the difference there. So Moss is showing that he means business. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think what we're seeing with at the moment, and also Matt Moss participated over at the Maitland 15,000, did exceptionally well in some of the shorter races. Now, I'm going to say that Mossy later on this afternoon, when we've actually got the back-to-back 15-minute races, that's going to play into his hand for short, sharp sprints with a little bit of, emphasis being on dropping of the gate, getting a good start. He's really enjoying that at the moment. We've got some of the other riders where the Regan Duffy, no guarantee he's going to get a good start, but he's going to get fitter and stronger as the race goes on.
I think it's a bit of a different approach right here as we see Todd Waters on screen, the number 1 holder. He's not looking to try and set down just a fast lap. We see the rest of the guys, they go out and you see these two going over the finish line just there. They've set down a fast time and they've just backed off. Clout now is back onto a flyer. There is Maximus Purvis also. He's trying to tag onto the back of Clout, knowing that he is one of the fastest guys out there. We see a different approach by Todd Waters. It looks like he's just out there to pick up his lines, pick up his pace the whole way around and try and get into a bit of a race pace. Throwing one lap down hard and fast is one thing. Oh, as we see the front wheel stepping out there for Clout, throwing down a hard, fast lap is one thing. Doing it for the entire race is a different story. If they can do these kind of times in an entire race, I'd be impressed, but I don't think we'll see it just yet.
You have your certain riders that you know they've got their strong point of being able to drop the hammer, let it all hang out, almost like Ricky Carmichael-esque in a sense that they don't mind letting it go side to side, 90 degrees, and their heart rate probably wouldn't even raise one beat, like I'd almost have a heart attack if I stepped out that sideways when I was riding. And that's riders such as Luke Clout. As we say that, Kirk Gibbs on the Honda has stepped up to fastest, a good 0.4 of a second faster than Clout. He's also on the 148, it's a 148.417. That is going to be hard to beat. However, we spoke about it earlier, Hammy, the track is a little bit on the muddy side. They put a lot of water down, which is a great move because as the day goes on, it's going to come into its own come race time. However, at the moment, each lap that goes by, it's going to start to get better and better because of that mud content.
Well, essentially, they've only seen for 2 laps to try and learn a new track, essentially compared to what they were out there before in their practice session. Right now, screen, this is a flyer for Luke Clout. Let's see if he can eclipse it. A 147 is very likely, and it is a 147.
Hammy's on his game with the predictions.
8. So this is each lap they go around, they are learning more and more. We can see here is Duffy. He has just taken his time on this lap, so he is about to set himself a flyer, and this is his last chance. 15 seconds left on the clock. He will not get another shot at it, so let's see if we can follow him around a bit, pick up the mistakes and the good lines he makes. He may be able to get up there and eclipse it at the end.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the time stop? Once we get to 0, we're done now. This doesn't count anymore.
Oh no, down goes Duffy. Now this is the pressure of trying to push it at these points of the day. So he has gone down. That last chance is thrown away. Yes, Lee, that was what we had in the first round. The 10 minutes, once it got to that, that was it. We brought it back to the 8 minutes. So after that checkered flag's out, if you haven't passed the checkered flag already, the time's run out, but it is going to be the last chance for Metcalf right here. Let's see if he can jump up anymore. He still sits back just a little bit. Nothing to worry about. These conditions, the flying laps, as we said, is one thing. To go and do it in the race is another.
And Clout is going up to a 147. So you say nothing to worry about, Hammy. I kind of agree. 3 seconds, though, however. It's different. Coming back, I know team manager Reeve Konski will be having a bit of a look at that and just going, we need to make up a little bit of time come race time. Because if you allow that 3-second gap all the way through to the halfway point of a 35-minute moto, you've all of a sudden got a big gap that needs to be chased back in those latter stages. We know how fit Brett Metcalf is, and if anything, his times will improve throughout a long race. Let's see what Todd Waters does. Moves up to 3rd. Great. Nice. Solid time in the 148s. Anywhere around that 148 is good. Luke Clout even possibly a little bit out of his comfort zone to get into that 147.
We saw the front wheel, didn't we? Stepping out all over the place. So he was really, really pushing it. 148s, I think that's probably their target times in race time at the moment. The track, though, it's going to change, and it could, in fact, get still a bit quicker once these ruts settle in a little bit more. Obviously, what we saw with Duffy pushing it into one of those ruts that just didn't quite have the body of it. They will have the body later, and they will be able to tip it in, so we may see a little bit quicker. But to do that over the 25 minutes, another story altogether. Yeah,
completely different, and also getting creative with your lines. A lot of those ruts entering into those turns, they get very, very big bumps. Nice standing up. A bit of hammy style there. I know you would have appreciated that for sure, up on the toes through the corners. And that's, once again, that's a Western Australian rider coming out, in the forefront here and showing us how to stand up through a very tricky technical corner.
Great to see these guys all getting out there and putting down some times. A bit of track maintenance is going to go on. This stuff is thick and deep, isn't it, Lee? The track itself, we had a walk of it earlier on today, and the mud, it just stuck to our boots. We were at least 3 or 4 inches taller by the end of the track walk. And for them to get around like this, I know that their very first practice was a little bit harder for the MX2. There was a lot more mud getting thrown around, but just looking at it right now, it's settled down. He is not dirty at all. It is going to set up for some fantastic racing on this track.
And Luke Clout, doesn't he just ooze confidence in this environment? Home state, he loves this track. It's just got him written all over it. Walking through the pitch yesterday, doing our colour pieces, little bits and pieces, you could just tell his confidence. All right, let's go down to Rihanna, who is with Luke Clout.
Yeah, congratulations, Luke Clout, scoring the AMX Superstores pole shootout. Luke, You're in New South Wales, we're in your hometown. I know you've got plenty of people who are cheering you on this weekend. Great to get that one down on the line.
Yeah, it's good. Look, started Canberra off this way and look how the day turned out. So, I just want to, keep the ball rolling. The team and I worked really hard in between, practice qualifying and that. We made some changes and, it was a lot better. So, it's a whole team effort, obviously, and, we're working as one at the moment and everything's clicking. So, looking forward to keeping it going.
Give us a sense of what the track's like this morning. Obviously, it's going to change throughout the day, but this morning, how was it for you?
Yeah, look, it's a little bit different to the way it usually is, but yeah, it's going to form some good lines and some racing, and I think if the track workers can do a little bit of touch-ups here and there, it's going to be great. So, yeah, I'm stoked. Looking forward to getting out there and getting racing.
You've got the pole shootout now. I mean, is it you've got to come away from this weekend with 2 wins? Is that what you're looking for? Yeah,
basically, it's just win every race I can. Like I said, we've got a bit of a points deficit. We're a little bit behind in the points, but for us, it's just race by race, and we'll be at the championship there in the end.
Look forward to seeing you in Moto 1. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Rihanna, and a big congratulations to Luke Clout, the winner of the AMX Superstores MX1 pole shootout. Don't go anywhere. First, a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
From its humble beginnings in Melbourne nearly 100 years ago, Penrite is now a truly respected global lubricants brand. Yet it's still a 100% Aussie-owned family business employing Aussies on Aussie dirt.
The perfect shape. It has no beginning and no end. Infinite. It is the shape of the windows of our souls and how we see the world. We know what it's like to push through the tough times, the pureness of victory, as well as the lessons of defeat. These are the moments that make us who we are. We dig in. Character is typically not developed when things are easy. It's when things get tough. The soul strengthens and ambition shines. Without sides or corners, the world is changing in front of our eyes. But it's the tough times that will strengthen our circle.
From its humble beginnings in Melbourne nearly 100 years ago, Penrite is now a truly respected global lubricants brand. Yet it's still a 100% Aussie-owned family business employing Aussies on Aussie dirt.
Serious riders know when it comes to their helmet, settling for less is never an option. Introducing the new Reflex helmet from Thor. The embodiment of style, technology, and protection. Never settle.
So the biggest thing with Maxxis, we've got the grippy tracks nailed. You know, like a tyre that bites into the dirt, and that's what Maxxis have with the MX ST. It's a quite a narrow tyre, higher knobs, so it bites into the ripped surface, soft dirt, and I like a tyre that doesn't roll. I don't like running 11, 12 PSI. I like up around a 13 or 14. Tyre that holds up. When I push it hard, it stays there for me.
The massive end of financial year catalogue sale is on now at AMX. Save across the store on all the big brands like Fox V3 helmets now $4.99, save $2.50. Save 30% on 2021 answer combos now just $125. M2R X4.5 helmets down to $349, save up to $120. Save 25% off 100% goggles and purchase any qualifying Penrite product for your chance to win this awesome bike build. For these and many more red-hot specials, check out the catalogue online at amx.com.au or head into one of our 16 stores. AMX, proud sponsor of the Penrite ProMX series.
From its humble beginnings in Melbourne nearly 100 years ago, Penrite is now a truly respected global lubricants brand. Yet it's still a 100% Aussie-owned family business employing Aussies on Aussie dirt.
The massive end of financial year catalogue sale is on now at AMX. Save across the store on all the big brands like Fox V3 helmets now $4.99, save $2.50. Save 30% on 2021 answer combos now just $125. M2R X4.5 helmets down to $349, save up to $120. Save 25% off 100% goggles and purchase any qualifying Penrite product for your chance to win this awesome bike build. For these and many more red-hot specials, check out the catalogue online at amx.com.au or head into one of our 16 stores. AMX, proud sponsor of the Penrite ProMX series.
one comes close to KX in winning. Only KX has more championships than any other manufacturer. Introducing the new Kawasaki KX450 and all new KX250 motorcycles, the bike that builds champions.
Welcome back to the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores. This is a bit of fun. This is the classic MX Evolution Club. Craig Anderson, you can't hear me, but this looks like fun.
Yeah, it is. It's the dudes that rode these bikes back in the day were, man, you know, they're hard to ride. The ruts are like all over the place, so it's good fun. I like it.
I'll wait to see what happens here. Good luck.
Fantastic stuff there. Great to catch up with Craig Anderson alongside yourself, Danny Ham, an icon in this particular region of New South Wales, the Newcastle Hunter region. Everyone knows Ando, more championships than we can poke a stick at. And great to see him out there in the classic MX Evolution Cup. Tell us a little bit about the bikes that they're on at the moment. I know you yourself, your good friend Paris Corliss, there's a bunch of you guys up here that are right into these old school bikes. And they're so much fun, aren't they?
We have an absolute ball with the Vintage Motocross Club. That we go and do our races away. You know, the families get out together, we all go camping, go and have some fun on the day, go back and, you know, talk some crap about each other at the end of the day, push each other off the track. And seriously, it's just pure fun. You know, you and I both know the pressures of being at the top level, racing and everything. This stuff here, we just go out and enjoy ourselves. So really great to see him out there.
Have a look at these bikes. How's the tank with the old Hurricane, the Bob Hurricane and a lightning bolt down this side? That is so rad.
If you do get the chance to see some of these bikes, the amount of work and effort that's gone back into restoring these bikes it's incredible, and it also empties your wallet. There's not a lot left at the end of the day. So, you know, these guys really take pride in their bikes. I've got myself an 89 Honda 500. I absolutely love it. So much fun to ride. But these particular bikes are a little bit older than the one that I have personally. The Evo class is what we're seeing here today. And I'm not even sure Ando's done much on a bike like this with the twin shocks. So you do have to have no linkage on the bike. As we see in the modern day bike, the rear suspension has a big linkage in it. You should see that these ones don't have that linkage. No disc brakes. See, that's a turn off for me right there. I can't squeeze a handlebar any tighter at the end of the day when I've got forearm pump then I can, with the disc brake, I couldn't do it with drum brake. So that's another thing. And then the third thing is also air-cooled engines. If you remember back when we used to run the much older bikes, they had a zing, didn't they? The air-cooled compared to the water-cooled. It's a completely different feel. But these bikes still push out some great power, especially the big 500cc bikes. We do have one 4-stroke out there as well. So that is Middleton right there that actually just went through the bottom of the screen. Yeah, these are just pure fun when you get out on the bikes.
Well, Hammy, we just saw a close-up on the starting line of a YZ250H model.
Yes.
Which I happen to have a YZ80H and raced. I was really quite stoked when they went from the G to the H model where the fins didn't go straight up and across. They actually diagonally went across. It looks so much more modern at the time. You look at them now and you're just like, wow. How about them trying to pick up if that's a Honda Red Devil? Which were just iconic back in those days. They had a Honda Red engine, which I'm trying to see here. No, it doesn't look like that's the case. But these things are just spectacular.
Oh, man, the amount of effort, the long nights, the weekends, just, you know, someone's stuck in the car. Oh, foul part, yeah, you take 10 spark plugs to the race meetings every single time. But once it got them running, you know, these things are absolutely flying. I know the 133 machine, I've seen him at a lot of our races, and he just really
nailed that rush.
Motors around there. Danny Anderson was also out there. I just saw a small glimpse of him. He is so fast, still to this day. One of the former pro riders back in the day. He still loves to go out and ride, and quite honestly, if this was at Lake Macquarie Motocross track, you weren't going to beat Denny Anderson.
No
Trust me, I have tried and crashed my brains out trying to beat Denny Anderson around there. So there's plenty of talent, there's plenty of fast riders, and these guys still do a lot of riding. They're not just coming out for the weekend. There is Denny Anderson on the 104. Again, I'm not sure how much work he's done on a bike like this.
Look at that, Suzuki. That thing just, some bikes, it's funny, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. You look back and you go, wow, that just looks iconic, and it looks still semi-modern. And you look at other bikes, you just go, it looks like a dinosaur. That thing looks like it's come, you know, straight out of the caveman ages, so to speak. But some of them look extremely good. You'll notice, unlike the forks from today, which we call upside down forks, where the chrome sliders are in the bottom half of the forks, these are what are called conventional forks. So that the slippery, smaller diameter chrome part of the fork sliders are in the top half of the forks, so completely opposite. Now they're a lot more prone to get hit with rocks, etc. They didn't have the plastic protectors on the forks like we have these days. They have these rubber boots that go over the top that really, you look at them straight away, you think 70s and 80s motocross.
Well, not only that, speaking of the forks, Lee, because they are the conventional, they've got a big tag of fork under the bottom of the axle.
Stuck
and
in
have
ruts.
a look at the size of these ruts they've got to get around
the
today.
underhang.
Well, that one didn't have much underhang,
No,
but these
but
ones
this
100%.
one
You can
does.
see it right there with the axle halfway up the fork almost. There's plenty of underhang there. You can see that one right on screen, the 133, the bottom of it right there. That's plenty of
You
mud
can
already.
see how many ruts have been tagged already right there. That's almost the ticket straight over the handlebars. You go tip it into a rut, the bottom part of that fork leg hits the dirt, stops your bike immediately, and there's not much you can do about it.
I know, I've spoken to a few of the guys yesterday. They were walking around. They were so pumped to be here and having a ride at the national track that they're on today. How they'll feel after the third race at the very end of the day may be a different story, but this one, the excitement is there, and we will get a chance here also, as some of our pro riders here, some of these riders, I'd almost say kids, weren't even born when some of these bikes were out there in production, so plenty of attention on this class, and I think also just a chance to have a look at how the start gate is going to work when they actually do take off this time.
All right, well, we've got the 15-second board up, and we are almost in the starter's hands here. So we have a bit of just a quick recap. Liam Beverley was our fastest in time qualifying with a 2:09, and Craig Anderson was second fastest with a 2:14. So a full 5 seconds off. 5-second boards come up. We're in the starter's hands. We're about to see the drop of the gate. And the first race here at Maitland, the classic MX Evolution Cup Moto 1. Who's going to get the whole shot?
Oh, big charge. It looks like maybe that was Denny Anderson. No, that's Craig Anderson. Oh, if anyone's going to get a start, oh, there's Denny Anderson up the inside. Beverley's been split by the two Anderson riders.
Oh, has the straight line ruts.
Well, it is Craig Anderson out in the lead on the Yamaha, and Denny Anderson straight in behind him. Beverley.
Oh,
Anderson, there is that run. Oh, he's taken his brother down.
You know what I think we were talking there is the bottom of the fork legs
Grabbed it.
right there.
Grabbed it instantly.
Talk about, that's exactly what we were talking about. You cannot tip these old school bikes into the new school ruts. They're just not designed. They don't have the clearance of our new models.
That is Middleton there in third place on the 4-stroke 24 machine. He's one of the big names in the VMX area around here, really passionate about his racing in the VMX scene.
Now you called it, Danny Hammer. We've got Diggsy, Craig Anderson's brother, is all over the back of him at the moment, putting the pressure on now. If there's someone you do not want to beat you in a race, there's a couple of people. One is your teammate, but even worse is your brother. We have a look here, Craig Anderson, whole shot now. Anyone that knows Ando throughout his career, that's pretty stock standard. He's got more whole shots than you can poke a stick at, but he is coming under fire from the younger brother at the moment.
Oh,
down rider number 143. We'll try to pick up who that is. Peter Starkey, local from New South Wales on the Yamaha YZ 250. Having his struggles here in the early stages of Moto 1. The battle continues, and completely different lines here. Ando going for the safety of the outside. And Danny Anderson up the inside here.
Beverley, sorry, mate.
Ooh.
Anderson went down. Diggsy went down that
Gotcha.
second turn. Oh, Beverley with a problem, though.
Yes.
Anderson, so smart on the track, though. You always know he's going to find the good lines. Interesting to point out, though, that corner back there that you spoke of, the inside-outside, as you see the front wheel just tucking on Craig Anderson right there. Later on, we're going to see some good passing opportunities. Those lines, the inside works really well early in the day when there's plenty of traction. The outside then becomes a line later on. So I know, although these guys are a bit slower than our pro riders, and we mean that in the nicest way possible. Oh, big move up the inside by Beverly. Just closes out Craig Anderson as they go off this drop-off. I know that the factory riders they'll keep an eye on this. They'll have a look for some lines, see what works. As Anderson, a big dive there around the outside by Beverly and just wasn't able to quite make it stick. So they jump up and over this. Now, Lee, I've never personally ridden a bike this old. Have you had a chance to ride something? I know that you grew up on the, as you said, the 80H, but one of these size bikes, have you had a chance to go back and ride one of these in a more modern day time?
No, nothing quite this old. I've ridden some of the older Honda and Kawasaki 500cc two-strokes, which I absolutely love, and I must say, they almost feel as vintage as what these look, you know, like when you compare them to the brakes and the chassis on the bikes we've got these days. But no, nothing quite like this. I can only imagine the things that come to mind, as you mentioned, the lack of brakes, the small foot pegs.
Oh, yes, first thing to go, those little knife blades on the old bikes, they have to change.
Yeah, and also the boots back then combined with the foot peg, you're just folding your feet in half every time you land off a jump. So, see, there's a lot of little things that, a couple of foot dabs there. That's the done thing. There's not much you can do about that. And of course, let's mention the lack of suspension, let alone twin shocks.
Yes.
Can't imagine what that feels like. I'm even talking back in the single shock days. So times would have been a little bit tough. We can see very soft forks going on here.
Well, there is Brett Riley on the 54 machine. He just sits right there in front of Middleton, Dave Middleton, right there on screen. He absolutely loves this bike. He spent so much time on it. He's very, very quick on it. And they love being out there. They know the older gentlemen, you know, they go out there, they really, really enjoy their riding still. And it's great to see, you know, your life doesn't stop at a certain age. When we finish our pro riding, we still continue to ride on and on and on. And I, you know, for myself, I know I've still got a long way to go in my riding career. I'm not planning on stopping riding anytime soon. So this is a great avenue for us just to continue the love of motocross. And that's all it is. It's the pure enjoyment and love of motocross. And that's why we go out on these kind of bikes and ride what we do.
Well, and of course, you've got to remember these riders, they work midweek, you know, they've got families, wives, children, etc. Right, coming to a complete stop. We've got Burke Street here backed up in the middle of a straight. He must have been going, what the heck is going on here? That would have been a big tag of handlebars coming through if he had to come through pin. As I was saying, these guys, they'd have jobs, careers, wives, kids at home, and they do this for a passion. And it really does need to be a passion because they may look like old bikes, but some of these are more expensive than our current model bikes.
Yeah, I do know personally some of our mates that have tipped in just a little bit of money into their bikes. And yeah, if you've ever been on any of the bike sales and seen the COVID taxes that are on the CR500 or a KX500 at the moment, it's mind-blowing. You'd be lucky to pick up a 500. My 589, you know, 20 grand is pretty much a good going rate for a very neat bike. As we see this great battle up the front, Liam Beverly has made it past Craig Anderson, but Anderson is not giving it up at all at the moment. Here's the two lines I spoke of earlier, the inside-outside. It's a long way around the outside. That inside's still working pretty good at the moment. No massive drive out of these bikes coming out of these turns, but it's Craig Anderson still working away. Oh, a bit of the back wheel slide out. 3 minutes and 49 seconds to go. This is the part of the race where these riders are going, please, where is that last lap forward? I know that Craig Anderson still gets a chance to do a bit of racing. He went over to Manjimup and had a ride over there, something I really wish I was able to do. As we see the two lines once again, Beverly really loves these inside lines. Anderson around the outside again. And just no way around at the moment. But that twin shock thing, Lee, I mean, these are the mono shocks. These two that they're currently looking at, there is still plenty of movement in the back wheel up to the nut guard. So the suspension works on these bikes, but the feel of it, it's something that I just haven't experienced myself.
Well, as we can see with the battle going on here, Ando's clearly got the racecraft. He's got the will to win. We know how much he loves to win. I think he needs to make friends with a couple of the inside ruts if he's going to try to make that pass and make it stick, because Liam Beverley quite clearly had a fair bit of time on Ando during time qualifying. Here comes the pass setup here, and
no, bad read of this one going into the turn. That outside all of a sudden seems to have worked.
Bad career choice there from Liam Beverley. He's been shut out here. Now we're getting back to that part of the track where Ando keeps getting passed up the inside by Liam Beverley. So, like I said, the racecraft. No, he's gone to the outside again here.
That's the split. So this is the change in the track here at Maitland. Let's see how it comes out. That inside to outside does seem to work very well.
What a battle.
Over these roller whoops. Oh, the front wheels dancing around doing the tango as they come into this corner. Anderson back up the inside. This is a great little race between the two. I know. It'll be ear-to-ear grin at the moment between both of these riders.
Absolutely. And you know what I'm also liking here? I'm picturing further on in the
Inside.
day. Inside, he's picked up on that line.
Almost around the outside of the inside.
But he didn't quite find the Liam line from the lap before. I think he's a bit closer. One thing about Craig Anderson is he's very quick to pick up on lines that work, and he tried to find it there. He just didn't quite get onto it. What I was going to point out was, what I'm liking at the moment, Hammy, is the choices of lines that we've got out here at the moment that's going to play a huge factor come MX3, MX2, MX1 later on in the day. This is shaping up to be a really good track here at Maitland.
One thing I did notice then as they came out of the corner, the clutch work, even on these bikes. And you'll know, Lee, from experience, the older bikes, they don't tend to have a nice light clutch.
No, and they don't have too much bottom end power. so trying to keep them in the meaty part of the power, you really are swinging off the clutch. You try not to abuse it too much because they don't last too long, these clutches. You really can only give them a little bit of a punch of the clutch to try to bring them up into life. And unlike our current day 4-strokes, these things, it's crucial that you're in the right gear. Gear selection is just so important.
Well, that's a nice line there by Craig Anderson. It's something that I remember from back in his pro days when we used to race, the Thumper Nats. He was one of the masters of finding these crossover lines, squaring up a corner early and finding a nice run down the inside where absolutely no one had been before. So any of these pro riders that are watching this could really take in some of his brilliance with the lines. There's no doubt about it. He is out there searching for him. He is trying these inside lines when he hasn't quite got it right the lap before. As we see Beverley now, he's got that fast line around there. Good swing into these whoops, which actually level out their speed going through that part. But yeah, Anderson is just a master at finding different lines that sometimes unconventional.
Well, I thought for a moment there, Liam was about to start dropping back a little bit. As you say that, he must have made a little mistake because he was easing up onto the back of Ando there for a moment. I think Craig Anderson, it's not so much a fitness thing for him, it's when you look at him, he's almost technically perfect. So he uses way less energy, and even back in our day of racing, he was never the fittest of all the riders. He used the least amount of energy, and that's how he was able to still keep trucking on through all the way to the end of a 35-minute moto on an extremely rough track. While we've got a quick second here, we just saw the last lap boards come up. Let's just give a quick recap of the top 10 here. Craig Anderson leading in that sensational battle with Liam Beverley. Danny Anderson's made his way up to third after that early race crash. David Middleton, we got Trent Allison back there rounding out the top 5. Gary Brown in 6th place, then Brian Little, Terence Murrell, Stephen Sweeney, and Christian Gudis back there rounding out the top 10. So great battles going on here as Craig Anderson cops a little boot and heads straight for the safety of the outside of the Gabrielle corner there. Some great track signage here at the Maitland round. Fantastic job we're seeing so far by everyone involved. The club has been faultless in their preparation here. The track has come up an absolute perler. And even walking the track and doing our little track pieces yesterday, Hammy, we couldn't comment enough on how good it was looking here. The trees and the whole setting's almost like an amphitheater effect. It's great to see.
Both of these guys just putting a lap down there on the number 9 machine, Brian Little.
Look at the back mudguard snapping her. I think it's copped a little bit too much mud there, Danny. I think she's perhaps snapped through.
There's another $500. 89 down as well. That is Terence Murrell. We did see Anderson and Beverly just go past him a moment ago, putting a lap down on him. And I'm sure some of these riders are quite happy for Anderson and Liam to put a lap down on them, get them back into the pits just that little bit earlier so that they can get a drink, recover, and get ready for the Moto 2. 3 races for them today, so they've got plenty of riding still ahead of them. There's the mudguard, it's gone. Get that checkbook out. As we see Craig Anderson coming around the last couple of turns, and he does look great on the bike. He does, it's just the way Craig Anderson rides. Flawless all the way through this. Moves himself up to the checkered flag, and he will take out Moto number 1 of the Evos here today in Maitland. A fantastic ride, great battle, and to be quite honest, I was a little unexpected for me. I thought maybe it might have been just a runaway. This is the other one I want to see. If you look at the rear of that thing, the muffler is falling off as well. So plenty of work to be done between motos for these guys, but Danny Anderson, I know, will be a contender. If he stays upright the next time around, he will also be in that battle for the top 2-3.
To come from how far back he was in that initial lap with his little crush that he had, ending up a 25-second gap. So I've got to say, he dropped 2 seconds on brother Craig Anderson on that last lap. So his finishing time, let's say fitness, I don't know what it is. However, I don't think he's quite got that finishing time of Ando. We're going to certainly see as the day progresses. These guys have got 3 races, which I found interesting. All the other classes have only got 2, except for our special little back-to-back, which we'll explain later in Moto 2 for the MX1 class. They've got 2 15-minutes back-to-back. However, the MX3, MX2, they're all just 2 motos for the day. But these poor vintage motocross riders, the Evolution Cup, they've got 3. They got the first race of the day and the last.
The very last race. That's going to be tough.
Hope you brought a few rear mudguards and mufflers, boys, because we're putting you to the test here at Maitland. Let's take a quick look at the Penrite ProMX results here for Classic MX Moto 1. Craig Anderson, Liam Beverly, and Danny Anderson rounding out the top 3.
David Middleton also up there. Trent Allison, Gary Brown, Brian Little, and the rest of the crew coming through and completing. I know that some of these guys are just happy to be seeing that checkered flag by the end of this race. Noel Lewis went a couple of laps down, so he didn't have to do quite as much, but I'm sure they had an absolute ball. As we go down to Rihanna, who has our winner.
How fun was that to start the day with the Classic MX Evolution Cup and taking out the first moto? Craig Anderson, you got off the bike, you said, whew, that was hard work.
That was really hard work. Liam had some good lines. He passed me and I thought, okay, I'll get in, I'll see where he's, I could hear him on each side of me every lap. Once he got in front of me, I seen a couple of lines. I thought, okay, that's faster, that's better. I'll get onto that. And then I ended up getting him back. He made a big mistake coming back across the start line, which allowed me to get up front. But that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work. Heart rate went through the roof. But yeah, the dudes that rode these back in the day, they were definitely men.
You've got 3 motos today. Is the body going to stand up for it?
I'm sort of hoping. I'm trying to tell myself that I'm an old diesel and I'll get going as the day goes on. But if that's one's anything to go by, Liam is going to be pushing harder in the next one, and so I got to go back, think about what we got to fix. But you know, I just give a special thanks to Brad Anderson. He's got a whole bunch of old vintage bikes. He's let me ride this one. It's great. He came up yesterday. We've done a little bit of riding, and we're here today. So
very cool. Congratulations. Look forward to seeing you later in the day.
All right. Thank you very much.
Well, as we said, Craig Anderson, very good at picking lines. We said it right there. Old dog that just knows how to find every good line on the track, Craig Anderson. And we see straight here on the highlights, there is the little tip from the fork grab, and Danny Anderson going down there. So we'll expect to see a bit better result out of Danny in the next race.
Yeah, it looked like Craig Anderson bulldozed the first part of that run, and then brother Danny just tried to tip it in. No rut there anymore. So as we see this battle going on that lasted quite a while between Craig Anderson and Liam Beverly, right the way through to the 3/4 stage of the race. Some straight line ruts really starting to develop, causing havoc for these guys. But how's the crisscrossing lines going on? And as Ando mentioned, He felled him all over the back of him, either side, just zigzagging either side.
Yeah, Middleton also having a little problems there. That was Peter Starkey just selecting the wrong lines. And you know what? In the actual racing later on, in our pro races, that very well could happen to any of our leaders if they don't read the play right.
Well, for any of our viewers at home watching this, if you don't have any experience of riding ruts, Hammy and I can 100% tell you that corner ruts are so much easier than straight line ruts. You're trying to go through a straight line rut and you're looking and you're going, please don't get cross-rutted, please don't get cross-rutted. Sure enough, you'll get cross-rutted.
That is a perfect example right there of not reading that play right, as Beverly just stumbled into the wrong rut. And once you're in that rut, you are locked into it. You cannot, especially with the size and depth of these ruts, you can't just jump out of it. You have to ride that rut. So really important that they look ahead, pick those lines. I almost, that would have been the pass of the day. If he went back around the outside of Ando and that, I would have applauded him. That was going to be
Unfortunately
massive.
for Liam Beverly, both ruts came together in the exit. Otherwise, it very well may have been a pass.
Yes, as Craig Anderson went across and took the win out of Moto 1. Really looking forward to seeing this class out there once again and doing it. It's going to be great to see. Let's see how many of the bikes actually has any more parts left by the end of the day. As we are getting ready for the next race, we will take a quick break and be back with more action shortly.
From its humble beginnings in Melbourne nearly 100 years ago, Penrite is now a truly respected global lubricants brand. Yet it's still a 100% Aussie-owned family business employing Aussies on Aussie dirt.
Welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. It is now time for the Pirelli MX2, Danny Ham. What a qualifying session we had. Kyle Webster showing his dominance once again, coming out on top in the time charts.
Very fast, straight out of the block, but we do need to remember that these guys were first on track. There was absolutely no lines formed up when they were out there. It was a slogfest. Most of these guys thought by the time they were coming back in, they were at an actual mud race. It was so different to what they are going to experience right now as they go out for their sight lap at the moment. And you can see these guys really taking their time and getting all that information into them. It's one lap. They need to, on this lap, they need to see their main line, their fast line, an alternative line in case they don't get a start. It's really important that they try and figure out what is going to work best for them on the opening lap, because the opening laps are so crucial to the results at the end of the day of this race, and then also towards the end of the day as well in Moto number 2.
A couple of quick riders I want to mention, Hammy, namely Jesse Dobson riding for the Serco Yamaha machine. He gets the Ironman award as far as I'm concerned for Canberra after just days prior to the event, coming out of surgery and racing and doing exceptionally well. He was second fastest in time qualifying today, and he was only under half a second off Kyle Webster's time. The other person I want to mention, Reese Budd, who only a few years ago was a junior, and he has stepped up and continuously shown he's right there in the mix. He's top 3 in the championship. He's still a young kid, and he was third fastest in time qualifying, ahead of the likes of Nathan Crawford, Jay Wilson, Noah Ferguson, etc. So cannot speak highly enough about Reese Budd. Let's take a quick look at the Pirelli lineup for the MX2 class.
As you mentioned there, Kyle Webster was the quickest, Jesse Dobson, Reese Budd, Nathan Crawford, Jay Wilson, our big hitters, all up the front nice and early. Noah Ferguson also, we saw a great ride of him at the Canberra round. Dylan Wills, great to see him back up there. Hugh McKay, Jace Cosford and Jai Roberts, also a local here. They've done a lot of laps on this track, so plenty of riders all up the front end of this one. Now, I can also tell you, Lee, recently I've seen a lot of Reese Budd around the area here at Cessnock, at Maitland, in the races that we've had locally here, and he's really putting in a lot of effort, most of the times racing against the 450s. Now, that is a tough order when you're on a small bike, especially when we get to these smaller point and shoot tracks. He tries to outgun a 450. It just doesn't happen. You have to change the way you ride. But in saying that, fantastic preparation to go into this race as we head down to Rihanna for a quick update.
Yeah, and one rider we are missing in the Pirelli MX2 this weekend is Alex Larwood from the WBR Bulk Nutrients Racing Team. He actually had a crash last time out at Canberra, but it wasn't that's put him out of this weekend. He had another crash in practice, in training, and has got a crack to his femur. So really going to miss him this weekend. Also interesting to note, I've just spotted in a bit of incognito on the fence line, Regan Duffy just watching the start of this race, all by his lonesome, keeping an eagle eye.
Yeah, no doubt. Regan will well and truly have his eyes peeled, not only on the race, but he's going to want to see how these riders jump out of the concrete start. Very, very important. Quick little rider mention here, Jai Constantino, who we missed at the last round after his incredible race, almost like a breakthrough round of one Thaggy, Danny. He unfortunately had a wrist injury with the scaphoid. He's back, he's firing. Wasn't quite the lap time he would have liked. He was 5 seconds off the pace in qualifying in 16th. However, let's hope we see some things here in Moto 1.
Well, we are about to get this one underway, and as Rihanna said, I'm sure there is a bunch of 450 riders all watching what happens right here. Completely different style of starting. You can see them sitting right up as we get underway for the
Great
first
jump
big
from
race.
Kyle Webster out of the inside. Look at the whole shot from Kyle Webster. We're talking 3 bike lengths into turn 1. That looks to be, I believe, perhaps Noah Ferguson.
Yes. Oh, off the side of the track.
Oh, is that Kyle Webster off his...
Yes, Kyle Webster off on the inside also. Is that Wills, possibly? There is Jai
Roberts has gone down. Was that, I don't want to say, Dobson. It looked to be one of the Serco riders.
Oh, wow, this is hectic moments right now as these guys try to hustle for position on the track. Jay Wilson leads this one at the moment. A chaotic first turn. And there is Webster sitting there in second. So back
that
up
could
going.
have been disastrous for him, however. No problem whatsoever. Jay Wilson leads at the moment from Webster, and Reese Budd continuing. He's got a good start there. He's looking solid. Keep your eyes on Reese Budd.
Budd will be quick all the way to the end of this race, I promise you, as we see the guys negotiating their way through these deep ruts right now. This is great to see Wilson jumping straight out early and getting some confidence. There is Jesse Dobson on the 14. He has also got himself off to a decent start. I really would like to have known what happened off the start with the rider up the inside. I did see the back end step out. I didn't quite see who it was. But yeah, really tense times going through there. But we did mention it. in the track preview that inside line was going to be very quick off the start, as we see the pressure right now, and already Webster wanting to make his way around, almost made that same pass work as they go to knock down the very first lap of this race.
Kyle Webster putting all kinds of pressure on the back of Jay Wilson. He's going to want to do what he did at Canberra and get a lead nice and quick, because you've got Reece Budd and the kind of confidence that he's carrying. If he can make a pass on Webster before Webster does on Jay Wilson, we could see some interesting racing here, because there's plenty of riders that can go that speed with Webster, but they just don't have his fitness. Little mistake, a little bobble from Kyle Webster has dropped him back into the clutches of Reece Budd. Now, Reece is going to be looking at the back of that number 96 that not many people are. Is that off the side? That was almost off the side of the track for Webster. A couple of little mistakes here would have the heart rate up.
Sorry, mate, Levi Rogers. Here is the replay. Have a look up the inside. It's maybe the 15 machine slides out here on the up ramp and straight off the side of the track
almost into a tree there, and at the same time we saw Webster. You were watching the rider on the left there. I was watching the rider I watched Kyle Webster. He just jumped up the right hand side and off the track. So fortunately for him, there were no trees in the way of Kyle Webster.
That could have been disastrous for our riders early on in this one. I was trying to say that Levi Rogers also in the 34 machine, a great start for him. He has made himself a pass to get up there. He had to pass Noah Ferguson to put himself there in 4th place. Jesse Dobson still there in 6th place. So we've got plenty of hitters, hard hitters, big hitters, I should say, up the front at the moment. There is Bud.
That was close. Continues.
Eyes forward. You know what? That was just a normal motion going through there. He had a quick glance back with a turn of the head, threw the back end out so quickly. And that could just undo your whole day.
You know what that was?
Quick here.
That was like a clock that wound up. It gets bigger and bigger. Now, Levi Rogers, as we watch him come through, he's a rider that hangs off the back of the bike. He's so tall. And when he gets off the back of the bike like that, if the back steps out, it takes your whole body with you and it slings you back the other way. He was very lucky not to get thrown down the track by Yamaha there.
Will's there on the 64 up and over the finish line. He sits back there in 7th place at the moment. Also another rider that had a great race here in one of the local races. There is the 199 of Crawford just in front of him. So he is putting in a big charge here. Obviously a bad start. He's had to pass some riders as he makes his way past the 188 machine.
Yes.
Yeah, Ravenhorst also with a good start. So Nathan Crawford is on the move.
Now Crawford's come from 14th place, Hammy. He made a lot of very quick passes and he got to 9th and it's stagnant for a little bit. Just made that pass. However, the names you're looking at in front of that, your Dylan Wills, Dobson, Ferguson, Rogers, they're not quite as easy to pass. However, how many times have we seen Crawford make his way from there all the way up to where he generally ends up behind is Webster and can't do anymore. So let's see what Nathan Crawford's got for us today.
Heaps of time still on the clock. 20 minutes on this Pirelli MX2 class. There's a lot of time that he has to try and make these passes and get himself up to the front. It would have been great to see a good start out of him. As we mentioned, that some of the other rounds, a little bit of bad luck. It'd be nice to see him get up there and really challenge for the lead.
How's the ruts there in the Bell Helmets corner, that left-hander? In fact, most corners are starting to develop 2 or 3 lineups. It's intense.
The ruts certainly developing into some monster ruts here today, as we see just that little bit of looseness by the 34 machine. As we see, there's a change already in the lead. We knew it wasn't far away. Webster was putting a lot of pressure on Jay Wilson. Now, it doesn't look like that was a mistake or anything. They are still sort of the same area of gap between 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. So I just feel that Webster has found himself some good lines. He's put the pressure on. It is now up to Wilson to throw that hook in and try and get the toe. Make sure he doesn't drop off.
You know where it's come from, Danny, is that last lap, a 150.7. Now it's over 2 seconds a lap, almost 2.5 seconds a lap faster than the next fastest lap on track. So everyone else in the 52s, well, actually only 2 people in the 52s, and then we go down to 53s, 54s. So that chain of events that happened was from an absolute demon lap from the Honda rider to put himself into position. Now, are we going to see the same game plan that we've seen so far in rounds 1 and 2, where Kyle he's He's got a much smarter head on his shoulders this year. He'll try to get himself a little gap. Now, it only needs to be 3 or 4 seconds, and he'll keep it there. He doesn't feel he needs to get 10, 12 seconds. Let it all hang out like the old Webster that we used to see in recent years. It's going to be something pretty crazy that'll take this win away from him with the headspace that Cole Webster's in at the moment.
Rogers there also back there in fourth, still pushing hard. Reese Budd on screen, the 22 machine.
Still in third.
Still in third, and you know what? I think we'll start to see him creep up to the back wheel of Wilson as this race moves on a little bit further. There is Rogers getting through the whoops. Still Wills back there. Sorry, that might be... Sorry, I'm picking up. That's Jesse Dobson right there on Ferguson. So he has made a pass on Ferguson, moves up one more position. Dobson, another rider that pushes all the way through to the end of these motos as well. So there is the sand section we spoke about early on in our track preview. Already, early days, it's starting to develop those two different lines and a lot of bumps. This inside line still looking very promising at the moment through that corner. Generally, it does blow out a little bit as the day goes on, but right now it's looking pretty strong. I don't think it's going to blow out anytime soon. We may see a move to the outside, but it is relatively similar in times as we see Dobson there, a small mistake through that rut. And that's one thing with these ruts, they're very easy to make those mistakes. They can grab you when you're not quite ready, exactly like we see right there. If you are not on your game, these ruts can grab you out very, very quickly indeed.
And there's plenty of ruts here on that track that can do it, that's for sure. Maitland, really, really impressive here. Look at the dust go. Who would think we had any dust with the kind of water that we've got on the track? However, Hammy, if we scan our minds back to round 2 at Canberra, you'll remember the epic battle that we saw. We had lap after lap after lap between Jay Wilson and Reese Budd. They touched bars a couple of times. There was I even think we came close to a near crash at some stage. It looks like we're about to see that same kind of battle erupt here at Maitland. It's like these two are magnetised to each other.
Yeah. I'm impressed with Rogers really hanging tough there at the moment. There is Dobson on 14. He's starting to creep towards them as well, so we may see before the end of this race possibly a few more places up the front being challenged, whether we see that you know, in the next 5 minutes. Oh, down, front wheel, just the
I was just about to say, Danny, we've seen a couple of back-to-back mistakes from Rogers.
Just outside of that rut.
And he's caught in the slop, and he can't get that bike off his leg.
As we look at this, a small mistake there, yep. And you know what, it just unsettles you, just that small amount. He's looking for the inside, grabs the front brake just a little bit too hard, trying to get that rut, and the front wheel washes out very quick. So unfortunate for him, just as we say he was having a great race, it all ends very quick indeed. As we look to the finish line, we are almost half race distance, 15 minutes still left in this one, but Webster hasn't cleared out that much. Very comfortable, 1.7 lead over the next place rider. Nothing to worry about, easily to control that lead from there. Wilson hasn't dropped back too far. It's settled in just a little bit at the moment, I think, with these riders. I think we may see something a little bit, another 5 or 10 minutes, and I think there's going to be some big charges. But you know what? The biggest thing is that they all see each other.
Yeah, they sure can. As we approach that halfway, the 15-minute mark of the race, I think it's a good time. One of our main naming rights sponsors and partners of the series, AMX Superstores. Just a little bit of brief history on them. They started out in 2008 just with one store in Melbourne, quickly developed to 4 in Victoria. Now they have 18 stores. And what I wanted to point out, Hammy, it's got your ears pricked up a little bit. They're about to open a new store in Newcastle in Glendale in September. You have to drop down and grab a few things from AMX Superstores.
I'll be heading down there absolutely as soon as that opens, just around the corner from my work actually, and I know that's going to be a great place to maybe find some VMX parts as well.
Let's hope they can give you a little 5% discount there, Hambo.
Oh, keep plugging them, it's 5% every time. Yep, I'm happy for that.
Let's keep adding it up.
As we see Bud now,
it's still...
Yeah, you know what, none of these guys are giving up.
I think Jay's closed back in. It's about half a second back. That had grown out to a nearly...
How's the last lap times?
Wow.
52.48, 52.40, 52.43.
Wow, so it looks like they're on 52s. However, that's almost a full second that Wilson brought back on Kyle Webster. It's 0.8 or 0.78, shall we say, of a second between those two. So that's why we can visually see it, and it's not so much, you know, what we can see. It's the implied pressure from Kyle Webster, if he sees, well, hang on, it's not stretching out, it's closing, he needs to respond to that. When you need to respond, you've got to up the pace a little bit, and that's when some mistakes can happen. So we really need to keep an eye on those leaders at the moment, if possible. It would be fantastic to see what Kyle Webster and Jay Wilson are doing in that first and second place.
Well, Corey McMahon having a great battle here. I think it's right in behind Ravenhorst, is that? I think it might have been. Yamaha right in behind them, so plenty of battles going on all over the circuit at the moment. Really good battle here between these three riders. It's the 46 machine also up there.
And so that last lap, Kyle Webster and Jay Wilson both in the 51s. However, another 0.2 of a second taken out from Jay Wilson. So it continues to close up ever so slightly, but on the track, these two are almost going to look like they're battling at the moment.
46 of Hugh McKay just at the back end of this little battle that we have. A great little battle, really. Look at this around the outside for the 153 machine. And you know what? That's going to give the inside as well on the gas. A much better position to go into this turn, but the position was not going to be given up at all by the 188 of Ravenhorst as they go down into what I expected a lot more ruts in this part, those straight line ruts that was very deeply ripped. They must, small mistake. As we see, we go back to our leader right now.
We've got Wilson there in second, and also he's dropped back a little bit. We must have had some kind of a mistake off camera, because there's Kyle Webster. He has stretched that gap out very nicely. We've obviously maybe a little mishap in a rut or something, because Jay Wilson has almost dropped back into the clutches of Reese Budd now.
Yeah, there's a 1.4 second difference in that last lap.
There we go. That's
yeah,
what
so
it
a
was.
mistake right there. No doubt that Wilson can run the pace. We saw that on the previous lap, but it's just those little mistakes. Just as you start to edge forward, you'll think you're making some ground and closing up for a battle. Just that small mistake can almost end that charge. So hopefully we can see it rebound right now and it can get going again. So we have the 101 machine on screen at the moment. We head down to Rihanna. She's got an update for us.
Yeah, and unfortunately, another disaster for Serco Yamaha rider Nathan Crawford. The team aren't exactly sure what's happened. His bike is parked to the back of the track, and Nathan has walked back to the pit. So whether it's been a mechanical or a crash, they're unsure, but really is hurting his championship fight at the moment, coming off the back of another tough weekend at Canberra.
Such bad luck once again for Crawford. But did you notice then, Lee, when Dobson went over that tabletop, lifted the outside foot off the peg, I should say, and actually looked down at his foot peg. As if there might have been a problem with maybe a brake being jammed up with mud or something.
Exactly what I was going to say. Let's keep our fingers crossed. It's very common. You would know in recent times we spent down in Victoria, the rutted tracks we did at our school down there, every single corner you go and you're jamming your foot pegs up, and you've got to give it a big kick. Now, these ruts here on this particular day today, it's very easy to jam up foot pegs. So, who knows? Let's keep our fingers crossed that it's nothing major. I am very interested to try to get some intel. Maybe we can set Rihanna on a task to dig a bit deeper and find out if it was a crash or if it was a mechanical, because we know how devastated Nathan Crawford was, and of course the team, when they had that mechanical DNF in an earlier round, I believe at Wonthaggi. Now, it ended up, what it was, it happened in time qualifying. They thought they had it sorted, but it proved to be an ignition issue. It didn't happen until the bike got to a certain temperature. They went out, they thought they had the bike sorted, and it wasn't. They had a mechanical DNF in the race. So, yeah, we need to get to the bottom of that and try to let our viewers know what the issue was, because big difference between rider error and mechanical.
We did just momentarily have on screen Dylan Wills. He's moved himself up quite a long way as well. A lot of passes made. He was sitting on the back wheel of Noah Ferguson. So just actually in the background of that shot, you can see them two riders getting very close. So Wills also running some quick times at the moment, a 1:54.09. 1:54, is that correct? Yep, that's right. 1:59 by Ferguson that lap, so that'd be why we saw that gap close up so much. But have a look at this. It's not over for the leader. It's not all done. He is still working very hard to try and find the correct lines around this track. A lot of moments just there in the muddy part of the track. So as he gets into these laps riders, he's going to be exploring some territory that, you know, he may not have seen just yet as they've done their laps around. And
Is that a Yamaha right there on the back wheel? Is that our lapped rider?
It's a lapped rider, and quite a substantial gap now back to Jay Wilson. If we notice on the times here, another 150.7 for Kyle Webster in the last lap, which just happens to be the fastest lap of the race as we get to the latter stage of the race. No one is on the same planet as Kyle Webster at the moment, so he has picked up right where he left off at Canberra for round 2. He doesn't look to be doing it too tough whatsoever. There's been a couple of instances where I've seen him take some fairly interesting lines through the mud instead of choosing one of the deep ruts. Now that can bite you, especially when you don't know what's under that slot.
Yep, and then that lap there, 52.9, and as we said, it's those the lines, exploring different areas on the track. It's brought his times back, but you know his fastest lap time, very quick. As we see Wilson there on the number 6 machine, just up and over the tabletop. He looks like he's got a bit of a breathing space over the rider behind him. There is Wilson there, just looking in the background to see if I can find that other rider. It should have been Reese Budd, and Budd was a lot closer, I thought, than that. So something's happened there. 5 lap time that last time around for Reese Budd. That is way off the pace. So
well, you consider once again, you just mentioned Kyle Webster was a 52, but he was still 2 seconds faster than Wilson, who dropped to a 54. Reese Budd a 55, 1 second off Jay Wilson. Just wanted to point out, we mentioned Reese Budd currently in the top 3 in the championship. He's top 2 actually. He's 2nd place, and he has a good little lead over Jesse Dobson in 3rd. So if positions stay the same as they are, Webster will of course not only increase his points lead, but keep his unbeaten run going. Can he do it with both motos today? That'll be almost record breaking.
Wow, it'll be very good. As we see, oh no, there is McKay.
Hugh McKay, the Tasmanian rider on the Bridemore Yamaha machine.
As we see Wilson there, looking very comfortable still as he stands up through that turn. Unfortunately for McKay going down in that area. As we said, these ruts, man, they can bring you unstuck in no time at all, and it's starting to get rough coming through them. We did mention the lap times being a little bit slower there for Wilson and that. I think that's just dealing with some of these laps riders at the moment. As we said, they're going to lines that they're not used to, or they may not even be formed up properly. So once they get out of that very quick line, it's very hard to keep those lap times down. You see they're feet off in both of those turns. It just goes to show how difficult it is for these riders to get through here without any issues. Again, a big dab of the foot. These ruts are really challenging the riders here today.
And if the truck's already starting to chop up quite as much as it is at the moment, imagine how it's going to be by the end of the day. These guys are going to really have their work cut out, and that's when all your midweek training comes into play. All of your, having a personal trainer to be able to get your target heart rates up and to be able to keep it there, because as you know, Hammy, it's not possible to be able to replicate your midweek training sessions with the intensity that you need on race day when you include adrenaline and all the external factors, nerves, etc. Look at Reese Budd, he's on a bit of a charge. You can see, Reese, you can tell when he's suffering from a little bit of arm pump. He tends to completely change his dynamic in the way that he rides the bike. He looks so aggressive at the moment. He's in career best form.
That last shot really a great indicator of the distance between all the riders, and it showed also that Dobson wasn't that far back as well. He did look very comfortable, as there is Dylan Wills as well. Ferguson in the screen right now. That is him on the 29 machine. A good ride again for Ferguson.
Danny, as we have a quick look here, a full second from Reese Budd taken out of Jay Wilson's time in that last lap, a 153.4 to a 154.0, so almost a full second. Kyle Webster continues to lead. He just dropped a 153, so time's just ever so slightly going down. Only 3 seconds off his fastest, but let's just remind everyone that his fastest was quite a bit faster than everyone else's, the 2.5 fastest. So all three, Kyle Webster, Jay Wilson and Reese Budd in the 153s on that last lap. So everyone, as we get to only 4 minutes remaining plus a lap here on the Pirelli MX2 Moto 1 class, for the day here at Maitland. We're edging ever so close to that checkered flag coming out, and I think what you'll find is now that we've got some half-decent laps between the top three, starting to I guess, prepare themselves for the finish and maintain their gaps. I think the one that could potentially turn into a battle is the one between Jay Wilson and Reece Budd. But while we have a quick second, let's just keep going on through fourth place. Jesse Dobson continues to string together a great race here. Dylan Wills, not too bad in fifth place there.
Yeah, Will's had to move up a long way, so it's great to see that he is finding some form as well. As we see Ferguson, a little bit of a problem through there. That last lap around Lee for Dobson was a little bit off the pace, but Reece Budd actually was one of the quickest guys on track that last lap around. So he is starting to edge towards our second place rider in Jay Wilson, as we see just the underwriter there going towards the finish line. Most of the riders all managing to get themselves around it without any issues, but I mean, that's how quickly it can change. Our leaders come around and we have a lap rider that does that right in front of them, it can change the whole dynamic of this race.
Yeah, that's for sure, and that's the one that keep an eye on Reece Budd, because it's getting closer and closer together. We've seen in some of the most recent rounds of the AMA Outdoor Motocross with the likes of Jet Lawrence and Roxon, there's been some really good passing moves made in the latter stage of the races. Those that have got a little bit extra energy up their sleeve. Someone that is not lacking in energy whatsoever is Kyle Webster. I know he's got his personal trainer here, John Park, who also serves as a physio for RaceSafe here, who do such a fantastic job. Simon, the head crew, not only looks after us in the production, but he looks after the RaceSafe. Great to have John Park here. The medical side of things is so important, but having your personal trainer here as well is a little bit of a bonus as well.
Always helps out with the confidence, and this is the thing with motocross, confidence is key. If you don't feel right on the day, you're going to have a lot of trouble knocking down those times that you really need to do to be able to run up the top with all of these guys. As we look at our intervals on the left-hand side there, is still 7 seconds back to our second place rider in Wilson, and he still commands 2.4 over Budd, so I was expecting that maybe to close up in these later parts of this race. It hasn't eventuated at the moment. As you can see the shot right here, there is Wilson onto the outside, the number 6 just about to go over that jump, Budd just in behind them, so he's still got a comfortable lead. Nothing to concern himself at the moment with, probably, you can see right there, the bike wide open going into the turn, just to let the lap rider know that he was there and try and balk that pass out of him just a bit quicker than it needed to be.
Yeah, and the one that possibly needs to keep their eyes peeled is Reece Budd. Maybe with the fact of Jay Wilson responding and pulling away just a little bit, might have dampened the enthusiasm a little bit, shall we say, of Reece Budd, who needs to be careful he doesn't drop himself into the clutches of Jesse Dobson, who's only 3.5 seconds back there. And it's a mountain of time back to Dylan Wills further at 20.5 seconds. So, you know, we've got 52 seconds left on the clock before we see that...
2 more laps.
Yeah, two more laps. We're going to have Penrite corner here. Jay Wilson coming out and heading towards that finish line area.
You're exactly right too with Dobson. Before they just went over the finish line that time around, he actually was matching the leader's lap time at a 52, almost a full second faster than Wilson was, Budd was in front of him. Times leveled out a little bit more that time, but still Dobson, that
fastest
last lap
on
around,
track.
yeah, fastest on track. So we are seeing a late race charge by Dobson at the moment, just a testament to his fitness and being able to push at these later parts of the race. But look at the thick traffic they've also got to get through. A big buck there of that suspension going into that, and I think we're going to see that a lot more today, Lee. By the time this race meeting is over, this track is going to break down and develop those massive braking bumps. So line selection and trying to find new lines is going to be key all day long. And there's a huge lead back to our second place rider. You can see it right there on that one shot.
Yeah, well, that's just the consistency and fitness, and also the concentration level of yeah, as you said, it's about to start to develop into a little bit of a battle there. Our clock time has ticked down to 0. We're on lap 14 of 15. So reasonably short lap times here, meaning we've got reasonably long amount of, we've got a lot of laps here that we're ticking off. We're going to be 15 by the time we see that checkered flag, and the next time that Kyle Webster comes around, he will receive that last lap board. But Jesse Dobson here putting in a hard charge.
Well, I actually think, I was going to say it on that long shot, I think Dobson's made a mistake. I couldn't see him so close to Budd that last time around, and I think if we look at our lap times here, in our little studio, we will see that he has dropped well off the pace. So I don't know what's happened on that last lap. It was very close between them as we see our leader up and over the finish line on our timing at 153.9 and 153.9 also for Jay Wilson. So, oh sorry, 153.6, 154.1 for third place, Reese Budd, and 154.0. Okay, so it hasn't dropped that much. It's still with a chance, but 1 lap to go, you're really going to have to put in a big effort.
Well, what a calculated, methodical race from Kyle Webster. Other than a little excursion out of turn 1 off the side of that first tabletop, he's come back on. He took his time. He was patient. Didn't rush too much before he made the pass on Jay Wilson. And as we said, watch this. He stretch out a little lead. He got to 2 to 3 seconds. Stayed fairly close for a while, but we didn't see any major mistakes. And now it's only stretched out to 7. We're not talking a 30-second gap. He knows what he has to do to keep this ball rolling, to keep the train on the tracks and try to extend this nice little string of wins that he got. Can he do it again this afternoon? He's only got a couple more corners to go before he's going to come through to take the win. The victory here in Moto 1 of the Pirelli MX2. A fantastic job. Factory Honda team, they must be over the moon with Webster's form and the consistency that he's running. Team manager Yuriv Konski, I know he's a bit of a nervous character. He likes to get a little bit uptight.
Sorry, mate.
Whoa.
Sorry, jump on you.
True.
Wilson, I think, has gone down, possibly that shot, just waiting for the riders to come around. There is Webster negotiating a downed rider there. Is there only a couple more turns to go? We are almost closed down on this one. So
Dobson, Wilson's back to fourth place.
Has crashed.
How about the tenacity from Reese Budd to stay in there, to keep that implied pressure on second place has quite possibly resulted in this. But let's follow him through the factory Honda rider. Kyle Webster, number 96 on the Honda CRF 250 machine. Winner takes out race number 1, the Pirelli MX2. And it ain't no thing for his. It's just another day at the office, another win. But I tell you what, there's a lot of very, very excited people here in the way. The form that he's doing this in. Reese Budd comes through in second place on the Yamaha machine on the number 22. And Jesse Dobson on the Serco Yamaha number 14 will round out the podium in the top 3. What a devastating late race crash or incident. We don't know what happened. You'd have to presume some kind of a crash or off-track excursion, resulting in him dropping back 2 places to hold on to that 4th place. Wilsey kept dropping back 24, 25 seconds back, but still, the top 5 for Wilsey, not too bad whatsoever.
That was a great ride to come back from where he was. He had those problems first up, so good solid ride. It could start out next time around. Maybe we may see him battling it up there with the top 5 or so at the very front. Very calculated ride by Webster, but you've got to definitely feel for Wilson. You know, he put in the hard yards. He really deserved that place, and for the amount of room and ground that he lost from that mistake, I don't see it being a big crash. It was something so minor, but the implied pressure, as you said, by the guys riding behind them, you know, it was just enough. How's that finish?
3-way across.
Wow, those guys were pushing it to the very end. Wow, great race. What a way to start or open up our championship races here today.
Well, there we see Piney, the engine builder for the Honda factory team. They're having a good chat with Kyle Webster. No doubt, just checking in. How's the bike running? A bit leaving, which is everything perfect. Such good communication is essential for a team at that level. And from what we saw from Kyle Webster, surely you'd be thinking there'd be thumbs up going, don't stress, everything is good. We are ready to go for Moto 2. As some of our back markers here make their way across the line. Let's take a look at the Pirelli results for the MX2 Moto 1. Kyle Webster for the win on the Honda CRF 250. And we had a bunch of Yamahas back there in 2nd, 3rd and 4th with Reese Budd, Jesse Dobson, Jay Wilson in the top 4 there. Dylan Wheels on the Husky rounding out the top 5.
2 Ferguson boys there in 6th and 7th, so great ride by them. Chase Cosford is back there in 8th place. Thomas Ravenhorse also maintained the top 10 finish as well.
Jai Constantino, we mentioned earlier, not a bad job, just out of the top 10 in his return from injury. Corey McMahon, Liam Andrews, the Victorian, who had a long time off with some very nasty injuries. Great to see him back out on the track. Hugh McKay, I thought we saw a little bit of a bike problem there. Must have got it going, up and running again.
Well, we're going to head down to a very calculated winner right now with Rihanna.
Yeah, what a pretty chaotic start for the Pirelli MX2 Moto 1, but it's the same man that greets the checkered flag first. Kyle Webster, Honda Racing Team, got the whole shot, but it sort of went a little bit pear-shaped, but you got the job done.
Yeah, I got a really good start, and I actually went off, I went into the mud a little bit, and then I couldn't turn in time, and I had to go off and around the side of the jump, and, I tried to be respectful and slow down and, not gain anything, so... Yeah, managed to slot back in and not too bad of a position, and moved forward and spent a couple laps behind Jay and sort of saw where he was going, and yeah, sort of worked out a couple of lines where I could get around and try and make the move and then ride my own race.
You're remaining undefeated once again. We've gone 5 motos in a row. You look pretty calm, you look pretty chilled right now. How was the conditions out there?
Yeah, it's been a really good start so far, but yeah, I just try not to, think about too many things that I can't control, and that's something we've really been working on this year and with our program and everything like that. So, yeah, other than that, it's really good. The track's gnarly. It's really, really hard pack and slippery. So I think the next moto is going to be a little bit wild, but hopefully I get off to another good start. And my bike, it's working awesome. And big thanks to the whole team and everyone who supports the program.
Congratulations. We look forward to the second moto this afternoon. Boys, Kyle Webster taking out once again, but look at him, cool, calm and collected.
Well, one of the nicest guys in the pits, taking a win once again, keeping the streak alive. Butter wouldn't melt in this guy's mouth. So nice off the track. Get him on the track, different story. All right, guys, well, time for another break here. Stick around. We've got plenty more action when we come back.
The perfect shape. It has no beginning and no end. Infinite. It is the shape of the windows of our souls and how we see the world. We know what it's like to push through the tough times, the pureness of victory, as well as the lessons of defeat. These are the moments that make us who we are. We dig in. Character is typically not developed when things are easy. It's when things get tough. The soul strengthens and ambition shines. Without sides or corners, the world is changing in front of our eyes. But it's the tough times that will strengthen our circle.
From its humble beginnings in Melbourne nearly 100 years ago, Penrite is now a truly respected global lubricants brand. Yet it's still a 100% Aussie-owned family business employing Aussies on Aussie dirt.
Serious riders know when it comes to their helmet, settling for less is never an option. Introducing the new Reflex helmet from Thor. The embodiment of style, technology, and protection. Never settle.
So the biggest thing with Maxxis, we've got the grippy tracks nailed. Like a tire that bites into the dirt, and that's what Maxxis have with the MX ST. It's quite a narrow tire, higher knobs, so it bites into the ripped surface, soft dirt, and I like a tire that doesn't roll. I don't like running 11, 12 PSI. I like up around the 13 or 14. Tire that holds up. When I push it hard, it stays there for me.
The massive end of financial year catalogue sale is on now at AMX. Save across the store on all the big brands like Fox V3 helmets, now $4.99, save $2.50. Save 30% on 2021 answer combos, now just $125. M2R X4.5 helmets down to $349, save up to $120. Save 25% off 100% goggles and purchase any qualifying Penrite product for your chance to win this awesome bike build. For these and many more red-hot specials, check out the catalogue online at amx.com.au or head into one of our 16 stores. AMX, proud sponsor of the Penrite ProMX series.
Welcome back to round 4 of the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We're of course at Maitland and a sensational track. Let's have a look at the highlights from MX2 that we just witnessed and the dominance of Kyle Webster. However, it looked a little bit pear-shaped here out of turn 1, Danny Ham.
Everything was looking disastrous, but something I do want to point out there is exactly what we heard from Cole before, is he respected going off the track.
He sure did.
He didn't accelerate around the outside, and I think it's really important that we see that. Big hit there by Ferguson and Webster, completely unintentional, just two lines coming together. But Wilson out to an early start in this one, and I think we're going to see him up there again in the next race.
Well, and then we saw side to side there, and it ended up in complete dramas, so ended up having a crash. But our race leader, here we see it was a little battle for a small period of time, but didn't take too long for Kyle Webster to stretch out his lead. Jesse Dobson, a little mistake here, just almost going high side there in the ruts, which is what you don't want to do here at Maitland when you've got so many ruts to choose from.
And then we saw the 34 machine with a small mistake as well, I believe.
Which ended up in a crash right here.
Exactly.
Slight little front wheel washout.
I don't think you could walk around the pits and say to, or ask all the riders who had a perfect race that time around. I think everyone would have made a mistake of some sort going through those ruts and picking out the new lines. So just to make it through to the end, I think people have learned a lot going into these next races. Wilson was very strong. I was impressed, actually. I was really impressed with the way Wilson's come out. He lacked that little bit in the first 2 rounds, I think. He didn't come out firing quite as hard. Yeah. This one certainly did. Looked very comfortable, but that small mistake right at the end has cost him dearly.
You know what? Those small mistakes at the end, that's how you finish it up. That's it's kind of like going for a jog and then pulling a hammy with half a K to go kind of thing. No disrespect to Jay Wilson at all. I just can't speak highly enough for Reece Budd. So when you consider Reece Budd and Jay Wilson, Wilson's the seasoned veteran. You expect that kind of finishing touches to Wilson, whereas Reece Budd's the one you expect that little crush at the end. He kept it all together and coming up with a second. So another second placing and really consolidating and confirming his second place in the championship.
We can only speculate too. It's exactly what happened with Wilson. We don't know. We didn't see it on camera. So either way, he's made a mistake somewhere, but a very good ride and a great way to open up the day for Webster on the 96 machine, taking that win. The big question is anyone going to be able to catch up with him and close that distance in going into these next few races?
Can't speak highly enough about Kyle Webster. A lot of the time, the nice guys, you want them to keep winning, like a Jeremy McGrath. A lot of the time when someone has that kind of dominance, you don't really want them. You want to see someone else win. It's not the case with Kyle Webster. But let's have a quick chat about the MX3 class, who we have on screen at the moment. They're just completing their sight lap at the moment. Now, this is a very exciting class for 2021, Danny Ham. We have got so many different generations through here, so many different decades of riders. We've got multiple year levels of current juniors in this race, and then we've got 2 year levels of seniors in here, right the way up to you time out when you get to the age of 19. So as soon as you turn 19, you're done, you're out of here. So this is such an exciting category, and you know what I really like for someone that runs a junior team is for the ability of a junior rider, a gun, someone the likes of Caden Minia, who was 13 and got a special exemption to race round 1 because he turned 14 in a few weeks. He got up there and he was up near the top 5 against 18-year-olds. So this is really what Australia has needed for a long time. And I've spoken in detail to Chad Reed about this, who really wishes that he had this back in our day.
Well, let's have a look at the MX3 lineup brought to you by Max's Tyres. Blake Fox, Connor Towell, Ryder Kingsford, Connor Radicic, Benny Novak, Hunter Collins, Jack Mather, Campbell Williams, Riley Fitzpatrick, and Kobe Drew.
Kobe Drew there, yeah. Ty Keane also in the list. And we've got a huge bunch of riders here. Have a look at the aerial shot here from the drone. It's a fantastic region. This track just comes up really, really good on camera.
Well, we've had a lot of rain leading up to this race as well. If you looked at the forecast just 1 week ago, it said rain every single day. There was meant to have been 25 mil on Thursday even. So we have been blessed for this weekend. We have got ourselves a fantastic track that is really starting to develop a good race line now. 22 just there, right in the middle of the screen. I just wanted to point that out. Connor Towell, very fast to this track. He knows that inside line is going to work well off the start. As we head down to Rihanna, she has an update for us.
Yeah, Danny, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to point out Connor Tao. He qualified for this weekend in second place. Obviously, recently raced here for the East Coast. Was on the podium that weekend. Took out the 125 Cup. I think he, as a local boy, is going to be one to watch in this race.
Well, I was here that day, Rihanna, and did see Connor Tao. He was riding exceptional at that race. But it's weird, isn't it, Lee, when you have a rider like that can come out and just, you know, he was untouchable that day. Turn the tables, we are at a bigger race. It's different, the track's different.
The
pressure. It seems like some people thrive on it, and we'll see that probably out of Ryder Kingsford. He really thrives on it. Can Connor maintain his confidence, his mental ability around here to control the race like he knows he should be able to? And I'd really like to see him up there. He's been faster plenty of other rounds. This one here is a great chance for him to get off to a great start and really pressure for the win today.
As you can see here, Danny, the yellow number there on Connor Tao, number 22. Likewise for 21. So we've got Connor Tao, Ryder Kingsford, and then we've also got Campbell Williams, who they're three of your riders that are in their last year of juniors, the ones with the white numbers. They're already turned seniors, so really, it can get a bit confusing, but what a fantastic race here we've got on our hands. About to see the drop of the gate. Race one of the Maxxis MX3. Let's see who jumps out of the gate. Good jump from Connor Tao. What a hole shot from up the inside there, and he will lead him into turn one. Ryder Kingsford, not too bad at all on the Yamaha, is going to come out in second, and Blake Fox. There's some big key players that jumped exceptionally well off the concrete.
Well, this is exactly what we wanted to see. Everyone that we wanted up the front is so at the moment. Plenty of learning to happen for these riders. As we see Fox wasting no time at all on Kingsford as they went through that second turn. He dove up the inside in. I tell you, he's putting the pressure straight on Tao as they go through the centre part of this track. He wants to make these passes early.
I just thought I saw a glimpse of number 66, Caden Menier, the Western Australian who's just turned 14. Now, this is the kind of brilliance we expect to see from the young kid. Big mistake from Ryder Kingsford, nearly going down. He managed to keep it on two wheels. That does look, that is Caden Menier back there in fourth place, I believe.
Well, the official hole shot, the Matrix Concepts hole shot, does go to Connor Tao, 22.
Brock Flynn has gone down there. So, I expected a few more shenanigans going on there on lap one. If you have a little bit of a look here, looks to be our timing saying,
oh, outside, nice move by Fox, standing up into that rut, just kept that momentum going, and he has moved himself into the lead. Now, oh, big by Connor Tao, getting booted in the back wheel there.
But beautiful, I don't know if you noticed, but our race leader, Blake Fox, doubled two braking bumps into the corner.
Nice.
It was fantastic. We were obviously both looking at
two different riders
at one time.
One was beautiful, one was quite horrible, actually, as we see them up over the finish line for the first time. It is Fox out in the lead. There is Connor Tao in second. Ryder Kingsford did drop off momentarily. A small mistake maybe on the backside, but he is right there back on the back wheel of Tao as we see Tao still stepping out, going a little sideways. Have a look here at our replay. We'll try and pick it up somewhere in the middle of screen, I would say. Oh, no, on the outside.
Oh, that was Brock Flynn, the Western Australian rider, just gone down in a big way, and he's trying to avoid another rider.
Well, just stepping out a little bit too wide, that back wheel stepping over the top of any of the grip. As we see Towel there, another rider down, the triple.
Oh, that'd be Rory Fairbrother there, number 222. I just need to make quick mention here, Hammy, because he's had his struggles. My young guy is actually young junior, Campbell Williams, on the BCP Honda machines up there in fourth place at the moment. So
just look at the background, he is not that far behind. There he is there in shot, the Honda rider at the back, so he can see these riders. If he starts pulling out some quick lap times, he will be able to close that gap in and challenge for the podium position. As we see the rest of the field going through. There is the pass already though by Kingsford. Yep, smart riding right there. He has set that one up from the previous lap. He has stepped up to the inside, did a little bit of a switch over, and got himself into a quick line. He can see that Blake Fox is starting to check out. He has checked out a lot. 4.4 in that last lap and a half.
Well, let's consider he was pole position, fastest times, and when we look back to Canberra, he really was in a league of his own, wasn't he? He was able to win, but he did it fairly easy. It didn't look like he was stretching himself too much, as opposed to Wonthaggi, where we really had an impressive ride from Ryder Kingsford. Now, Ryder's taken off straight away from Connor Tao, who seems to be dropping back just a little bit. Blake Fox seems to be stretching that lead out. So it'll be interesting to keep our eyes on this timing screen and see how it progresses throughout the race. Some of these MX3 riders, especially the younger ones, they're prone to arm pump a little bit. Maybe their fitness not quite as good as some of the other riders perhaps, and we can see their lap time start to drop off.
Well, Tao does look like he's not quite got the intensity that we saw out of the first lap. You know what? Arm pump can happen that quick, especially on a running track like this. If you push it, Kingsford's down. A back wheel spin out. I can see the mark right there on the up ramp.
Now he has to turn around. He needs to make sure he comes back on the track, which is super important. Obviously, he's not going to make up any time there.
No, he's lost a lot of places.
Yes,
so
of course.
Oh, and a big kick right there, man. Calm down. This is the thing with the younger riders.
Well, Ryder Kingsford's in second place in the championship and he's still in the hunt. And he is so hungry. We've seen a little mistake develop into a big crash before at Canberra at round 2. He needs to calm it down. He's so hungry, which is great in a kid. He needs to calm it down a little bit.
Well, Williams in back of shot there. You can just see his wheels. He is closing in on our now second place rider in Connor Towell, the 22 machine. Towell is stepping out a little bit going into the corner. Some interesting lines there by Williams on the outside. Something a little bit smoother than what we've seen. But just in the back of him, I think, did I see, it is Minia, according to our timing. So it's getting close between there. I saw Kingsford in the background also of that last shot. So he's still in with a chance. There is Minia around around the outside. Got a little bit loose. Kingsford, Kingsford, not the place to get a little untidy through those new developed whoops here. You need to stay on your game when you get into something like this. You can't let the pressure get you ahead of that small mistake, because it's going to magnify the next mistake you make, and it's going to end badly. So he needs to calm down, otherwise his day, and seriously, his day could turn very bad very quick.
Well, that's the problem with Ryder Kingsford at the moment. His speed, his aggression, and his never say die attitude, unquestionable. Combine that with a little mistake and not being in race position on the track where he wants to be on a track like this can potentially be not very nice to you. You need to make good decisions, line selection, continue to make some mistakes. It's so hard to calm yourself down and try to find a little bit of smoothness and form.
And that is key a lot of the time. Slowing down actually gets you a quicker lap time. Really important for the younger riders to learn this. This guy up front, though, is probably the most senior rider of this class. He's had a lot of experience through...
he is actually a year younger than your Benny Novaks and your Ty Keens.
Wow, okay.
So the thing is there was so much hype about Blake Fox because of the size of him, and also a lot of people remember back to Gilman National Junior Championships where he was battling with Alex Larwood. However, he chose to go up a class, and there was a lot of talk about KTM at the time moving him up a whole year early to senior. Then we had COVID, so there's a bit of confusion about it. In fact, I got some of the info wrong at the last round. So no, he's actually a whole year younger than we think, and he's a whole year younger than a lot of the older level guys. So your Benny Novaks, your Ty Keens, and there's a few others. So he's doing really quite well. He's not quite as young as your Campbell Williams, and then of course your really young riders like your Caden Miniers, but he's sort of in the middle there somewhere. Like I said, gets a tad confusing with this class because there's so many.
Well, I was actually, to be quite honest, I was skeptical about this class. When they announced it, I didn't think it was going to work. I wasn't a huge fan of the under-19s when we had it. I think, though, this has really developed into a fantastic class. And as you said, for the riders, the younger riders, to actually be able to develop their skills and increase their skills is really showing it here in this class with these races. We see the 62 machine right there, Ryan Alexanderson. He is having a good run, sits in there behind is a Benny Novak, I think, also up there. Oh, Novak almost off the bike there, the front wheel getting ripped out of his hands as they went through that rut. So it is a good little battle here. This is for 6th and 7th. So
now Benny Novak's 3rd in the championship. Now he needs to put a band-aid on it at the moment, Hammy, because he's having some struggles and starting to fall back a bit. He's currently in 6th place, but under pressure from 7th. This could be really quite damaging for his points.
Holroyd also back there on the 28 machine. We saw him in back of shot, right there actually on the back wheel of the Yamaha. So yeah, this is a good little battle, but these are all riders that we're going to see trying to push their way up. That was Kingsford just passing our camera right there. These are riders that could play into, you know, the next race. They get themselves a good start. There's potential they could be running up there and pushing for the top 3 places as well. There is Olander on the 275 machine. Travis Olander, the Husky rider, diving up the inside there of 46, Kobe Drew. You know, these guys are all pushing very hard. 661, I think there. That might 664, I should say. Hunter Collins. We saw him having a great run at Canberra until that big moment that we saw out of him. So good to see him out there again, pushing hard in the top 10.
Now, I must say I'm really quite impressed with Connor Towell in second place, who we know he's got speed. You commented on how well he's gone here previously in a race you came and watched. Now, he's sort of known over the years to have the odd crash here or there and to have the odd drama. However, he has not only settled into a nice smooth pace, he's stretched out the lead over Campbell Williams back there in third, and Campbell Williams finds Ryder Kingsford all over the back of him. So we've got a 3-rider battle going on at the moment. Ryder has managed to sort his little issues out at the moment. I don't think it's going to be too long until he manages to sneak past Campbell. Campbell's going to need to try to throw a hook onto the back of his fellow training partner. These guys live and train together, these two. Oh, off the side of the track there for Ryder Kingsford.
Just to close out that statement from Connor Towell, you say he's picked up his pace, he looks great. Well, actually, in the last 2 laps, both of them, he has set his fastest lap times of the race, both laps. So he is really moving forwards at the moment. Nowhere near the fastest lap of the race of Blake Fox with a 151 earlier on. Fox on his last was 154, so still got a bit of time, but both of the last 2 laps of Connor Towell, both 156 is the fastest he has done on track. But this is where the real battle is. Right here, Kingsford has, well, I don't know if I could say he's settled in a bit more, but he looks a little bit more comfortable. He's still making them small mistakes. A lot of pressure, though, on Williams right now.
Yeah, Campbell Williams definitely feeling the pressure at the moment. But, hey, it's great for him to be up there. This is the first time that he's been up against these older guys and the championship contenders. Your Ryder Kingsford, your Blake Foxes. They get a little bit of TV time for him. It's just fantastic. And this will do wonders for his confidence because, oh, another big statement. Ryder Kingsford.
My statement's been thrown out the window. He hasn't settled down too much, but he is riding fast. No doubt. 156 that last lap around 158 for Williams in front of him, so that's why we see the distance close up. And again, off the track, these mistakes are going to cost you every single time. Williams with a little tuck of the front wheel there as well, so equally they're both making the mistakes, but it could be Kingsford that ends up winding up on the ground a bit quicker than any of the other ones. It's this MX3 race proudly presented by Max's Tyres.
It managed to somehow. That a bit of an optical illusion, but it almost looked like Kingsford was about to make a pass there on the inside. They have managed to stretch out the lead ever so slightly over Caden Miniar back there. It continues, the young 14-year-old, to do a fantastic job back there in 5th place. Benny Novak holds on to 6th. But this battle is continuing to rage here between the Honda rider and the Yamaha rider.
I don't think it'll take much for Campbell Williams to find some different lines that may help him get some speed.
Looking fairly smooth.
He looks comfortable.
Mistakes, yes.
He does look comfortable. So if we do see a change for this position, then, you know, if he tags onto the back of Kingsford, we may see him be able to hold on. He definitely doesn't look like he's riding out of his comfort zone, as we see a big charge up the inside here for Kingsford down the inside. He's got plenty of pace, and I think Williams is just going to let him have that one.
Well, he didn't really have too much of a choice, did he? As we saw, Ryder Kingsford was super hard and landed right next to him on that jump. So some smart riding from both of these riders, and the last thing you want to do is to come together with someone and go down. As we see a little bit of a replay there, it was just Ryder Kingsford scrubbing and staying nice and low, and they were almost trying to go for the same run, weren't they? A little bit of common sense prevailed. They gave each other some room. No problem whatsoever. Great to see from such young riders, still juniors.
Nice racecraft. That's what you expect out of someone that's been doing it for many, many years. But that back wheel is really stepping out. Is that a change? No, that's not Minier up down, left rider. As we still have 6 minutes to go in this race, as they threw Max's turn right there. We go back to our leader in the AMX Superstore turn.
Wow,
that
has not put a foot wrong.
He looks good.
Fastest lap time of the race at 151.9. roughly 3.5 to 4 seconds faster than the next closest lap time on the track. So clearly a league of his own. But if you watch closely on screen, it's not just lap time, it is finesse, line selection, body size. Yes, he's still young, but he
looks like he should be on a 450, doesn't he?
Quickly. Let's call him the man-child. You know, he's doing exceptionally well, flying the flag very well for Gas, and he's picked up right where he left off at Canberra.
And he looks good on the bike. That CWP performance suspension is dialed in here. It has not stepped a foot wrong as he goes down into these deep ruts once again, into some left riders, and that's another thing too. He's very smart. He's been able to manage his different lines going into these, reading the plays really good, coming up on these left riders. It just looks so comfortable at the moment. What he really needs to do is, at the moment, he's in a class of his own, no doubt about it. So his focus should be, okay, let's try and get these lap times down so he can start matching that MX2 class.
That's what he needs to be looking at, absolutely.
And trying to, you know, it's no good just going out there just to ride to win. Right now, that's no problem for him. He really needs to focus on that next step on the chain, and that is to try and get up there and run with those MX2 boys. And right now, he's in a position where he can watch, learn, and try and do that each time he's on the track.
Connor Towell back on screen again, and looking nice and colourful there. Bike and gear setup looking exceptionally good as he continues to float around in that second place. You know, fair distance up to their leader, but likewise, he's got a 7-second get back to Kingsford. If anyone is going to start to chip away at that second place for Connor Towell, it's Ryder Kingsford, because he'll be prepared to let it all hang out. He just needs to make sure he keeps it on 2 wheels around Penrite corner and about to head up towards the finish line jump. Up and over, no problem whatsoever for Connor Towell. The gap between first and second is 19.8 seconds, and then a further 7.7 back to Kingsford. Campbell Williams continues to hold on to 4th place, and then nearly 3 seconds back to Caden Minier in the top 5. So Benny Novak continues to have Ryan Alexanderson all over the back of him, just 0.8 of a second back.
The track really has developed into something of a monster at the moment, hasn't it, with these big ruts in this turn. It's the big ones going down the straight, as you mentioned before, Lee, they're the difficult ones. Trying to get through them with you know, a straight line, it can easily throw you off balance. For these boys to be out there doing that so well at the moment, it's a testament to them and their riding ability. Really impressed with Towell. He's comfortable. He's very confident at the moment and looking very smooth. We just look back to see the next place rider. There it is, Kingsford on the 21. Yep, so he has closed in just a little bit, but quite a comfortable gap between second and third and fourth. A smart rider right now, I think, would just say, righto, that's me done for this race. I don't believe I'm going to get up there. I will just conserve, take the points. A 3rd place is still a good place to start the day out. It's still good for the championship. Anything more than that, I think you're just risking too much.
Yeah, we've still got 3 minutes on the clock before we get that last lap board. So we've still got perhaps 4 laps.
3 laps. 3 laps.
3 to 4, maybe, depending on the luck of when you cross that finish line. So we'll watch this space. But on screen at the moment with Ryder Kingsford on the Yamaha Junior Development Team YZ250F. So doing a great job. He's smoothed it out a little bit now. He doesn't have the red mist in the goggles trying to get past someone at the moment. However, he will certainly be hoping to try to reel in Connor Towell. And that he doesn't seem to be taking too much of a chunk off that 7-second time. If anything, it's gone from 7.2 up to 7.9.
8 seconds now.
So we have a little bit of a look here from Connor Towell, who did a 1:57.1.
Hey, he matched the leader.
Yeah, exactly. We're a 1:57.4 for Ryder Kingsford. So a very, very good lap time there.
This is a great opportunity for all of these riders to explore the track a bit right now. Going to the next moto, think about where your options are, especially if you don't get that great start. You need to know where those option lines are so that you can make those passes nice and early while everyone's still stuck together. We see some of our riders a little bit further back. It doesn't matter where we look at the track, everyone is out there blasting around trying to race for position. They've got a little battle between these two. Nice move there by the 757 to make that pass stick as he heads up towards the finish line. 1 minute 42 left in this race, so we are at the closing point to this Moto 1 of the Maxxis Tyres MX3. As they go up and over we'll be back with our leaders shortly, but it's about lines. One rider down in a bad place to do it. You can see he's
stuck in the mud, and quite possibly could be right across the race line there too. So definitely need to make sure that riders approaching know that, and hopefully the yellow flags are out. On with Blake Fox here now in the Gas, the factory Gas team rider, dressed in all red as he approaches. Still 1 minute left on the clock, so nowhere near seeing that last lap. Board continues to be Blake Fox from Connor Tower back to Ryder Kingsford, Campbell Williams, Cade Minia rounding out that top 5.
On his second last lap, Blake Fox has opened up the day with a great statement. Got himself into the lead. He had to make them passes. He made them nice and early. Really wanted to make sure that he proved his points. At the recent races, the local races that I have been to be quite honest, he hasn't been that strong. So good to see him turn that around. There is Benny Novak, we've spoken a lot about in this race. He is now on screen, the 70.
He's been passed by Ryan Alexander, dropped him back to 7th place there. So
and Holroyd is right on the back wheels there.
They're very, very close. And then Kobe Drew back in 9th place, a little bit of a gap back there. But still, the pressure is on well and truly for Benny Novak, who's just perhaps not finding his flow here on a track like this. You can imagine, big mistake there. Could potentially drop another position. This is the kind of track where you can either find some flow, or if it goes pear-shaped and your arms pump up, this would be a living nightmare out there for you at the moment.
Alexanderson with a good ride there on the 62, as we said. He has made that pass and he's starting to open up that gap over the rest of the field in behind them, but it is all about Benny Novak. He does need to maintain that position for another lap after this one. He doesn't want to be losing any more points in the championship. Now, he's been very comfortable in the local races as well. Benny Novak has looked good at the East Coast, both here and at Cessnock.
There's a battle, Hammy, sorry to cut you off there. There is 0.6 per second between Campbell Williams and Caden Minia that we just had on screen there.
Top of screen there.
And Caden Minia, the youngster, is not the kind of kid you want all over the back of you, because he's got a heart of gold, that kid. He will just go right the way to the checkered flag. So Campbell Williams has got his hands full here. He needs to try to hold off that young Western Australian sandgroper.
3rd place right there, so about to come into screen with the other 2 riders as well, not too far behind the rider that is on screen at the moment. That is Kingsford. After his early race problems, he is still looking very comfortable there in 3rd place. As he heads up towards the finish line, we should be able to get the tail end.
Last lap board, here we go. So our leader, Blake Fox, has received the last lap board. And then we just saw Ryder Kingsford, who Connor Towell, of course, also must have received that. So Ryder Kingsford, 1 lap to go as the remainder of the crew start to make their way through. So Blake Fox, he'd almost be that half a lap to go to take the win here and receive the checkered flag in race 1 of the Maxxis Tyres MX3 Moto 1.
Holroyd did make that pass on Novak as well. We just saw that. So bad day for Novak. You know, some days you just don't feel comfortable when you get on the bike, and this appears to be one, as we see our leader go through Dunlop turn there. That is Blake Fox. He doesn't look uncomfortable at all. You know what? He looks flawless in this race, honestly. I'm very, very impressed with the way he's turned this around.
Really does look great, and look, that's what we expect from him. It's great to see, like, he's almost doing a Cole Webster-esque type ride. You know, that's what we're seeing from Blake Fox here. Not quite the domination, as in hasn't won every single moto. He certainly had a little bit of competition from Ryder Kingsford in some moto, who took the round win at Wonthaggi. However, since then, Blake Fox has rebounded, and he has come up trumps here. And certainly looking this way, he's going to take the victory here. Only got a handful of corners to go for the factory gas rider. Makes his way through. It is all about Blake Fox here as he approaches the finish line. A big win here for Blake Fox in Moto 1 of the Maxxis Tyres MX3, checkered flag out. He will be over the moon with that, as will his team. But quite possibly the standout ride of this race, this kid hasn't put a foot wrong. Connor Towell continues to hold on to second, 21 seconds back, but he has kept that 6-ish, 7-second gap. He comes up over the checkered flag now for a solid 2nd place. A little bit of a fist pump there. Very happy Danny Ham.
It only takes one bad ride by Blake Fox, and the 2-1 score by Connor Tower will always trump the other one, so it's a really great way to open up his account today. There is Minia going up to the finish line, and Williams has dropped back, so something has happened there. We're waiting for Williams to come across. There he is, across now, so a mistake over that last lap possibly has dropped him back one more position. Unfortunate for him. It was a good, solid ride.
It's a good, solid. Can't say enough about Campbell Williams, however, the young 14-year-old. Yeah, that's an incredible ride for Caden Minia, top 4. Likewise for Campbell Williams. A great job for the top 5 boys there.
Great way to open up the MX3 class for the day. We really impressed to see how all of these guys were going to get out and do that race. A little bit of track maintenance as we go to our race results. Of course, Blake Fox, Connor Tower in second. Ryder Kingsford, after his little problems earlier on, gets himself to third. Caden Minia, Campbell Williams, Ryan Alexanderson with a fantastic ride. Cooper Holroyd, Benny Novak, Kobe Drew, and Tyne Keane back there in 10th.
Travis Olander there in 11th place. 13th, we see Hunter Collins. Expect him up a little bit higher. He's a great young rider. Cody Kilpatrick, Liam Jackson, Kobe Hantis in 16th. Jack Mather out of Queensland, gun rider. Something must have happened.
He went down early in the race. I did see him on the side.
Stevens once again from Tassie, factory KTM rider. Would have certainly been hoping for a little bit more from him.
Justin Harrow on the number 3 machine. He was also back there. I expected possibly a bit of a better ride from him. We've seen some great results out of him as well. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more turning around in the next race as we go down to our race winner with Rihanna.
Yeah, taking out the Maxxis MX3 Moto 1 on the gas. Blake Fox, congratulations. Just tell me, what is it like out there?
Yeah, it's actually really tough. Track's pretty, notchy. The ruts don't quite flow as well as you'd want them to, but no, it's pretty good, eh? Like, it's good weather. We've happy to go racing again and have some fans out here, so it's good. But yeah, just happy, yeah.
You look like you were doing it pretty comfortable, really stretched that gap out as the moto went on. Were you aware of how much distance you had to the next guys?
Yeah, I had, somewhat of an idea. Dad was on the pit board. I was just trying to focus on my lap times, and just try to better myself if I could throughout the race. But yeah, it was pretty good. I got off to a pretty decent start, made my way to the front as quick as I could, and then just tried to ride my own race, so it was good.
Congratulations, Blake Fox. Looking forward to the second moto this afternoon. You've got a couple of little fans over there with some signs saying congratulations. Awesome work.
Solid victory there for Blake Fox in Moto 1 of the Maxxis Tyres MX3, and a solid start out of the gate there. As we take a quick little look here at the highlights, Connor Tower jumped out of that concrete,
so good,
rocketed to the first turn, and really, as we see a massive high side here from Brock Flynn trying to avoid riders coming through, it was really only Connor Tower that Blake Fox had to make his way past. As we saw, there was the mishap from Ryder Kingsford, who put in a pretty damn good from behind ride to get up to where he did.
Oh, absolutely. He had to pass a lot of riders once he did make that mistake, but there was these moments right here. That back end just so loose. He really just needs to settle down a little bit. I'm sure he will go back to the truck after this one or to his pits and have a bit of a think about the race, what he did wrong, what he can improve. And it's what you need to do as a top-level rider to make sure that you get back up there. 23 going down.
Byron, Dennis.
Yep. So
gas machine.
That track has caught out a lot of riders. There was the pass by Kingsford that put him up into third place on Campbell Williams. A very dominant ride going down that straight there. Very forceful, making sure that pass did stick. But it was all this guy here, Blake Fox, who looked so comfortable. You'd almost put him up there in maybe the top 10-ish, maybe top 15 of the MX2. I don't think he's quite got the pace yet of the top guys, but for sure that is building, and as we go through the rest of this year, I think we'll see him getting closer and closer to that goal before this series is out.
And someone found themselves a nice little camping spot there in between a couple of ruts, and probably, I dare say, struggling to get out. But Blake Fox, no problem whatsoever. You can't really get much more red, can you? Red plate on your bike, red gear. You just need some red helmet, red goggles, and that's about it. I think that's pretty much all she wrote. If you come up and over the checkered flag, and a sensational win, and the Maxxis Tyres MX3 Moto 1, and that's your highlights right there. Just a couple of little blotches of mud there on that red plate on the front. All right, well, MX3 in the books. Likewise for MX2 when we come back. MX1, don't go anywhere.
From its humble beginnings in Melbourne nearly 100 years ago, Penrite is now a truly respected global lubricants brand. Yet it's still a 100% Aussie-owned family business employing Aussies on Aussie dirt.
The massive end of financial year catalogue sale is on now at AMX. Save across the store on all the big brands like Fox V3 helmets, now $4.99, save $2.50. Save 30% on 2021 answer combos, now just $125. M2R X4.5 helmets down to $349, save up to $120. Save 25% off 100% goggles and purchase any qualifying Penrite product for your chance to win this awesome bike build. For these and many more red hot specials, check out the catalogue online at amx.com.au or head into one of our 16 stores. AMX, proud sponsor of the Penrite ProMX series.
No one comes close to KX in winning. Only KX has more championships than any other manufacturer. Introducing the new Kawasaki KX450 and all new KX250 motorcycles, the bike that builds champions.
All right, welcome back to the Penrite Oils ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We've got the MX3 class, the MX2 class, both with their Moto 1s in the books here at Maitland. And what a track we've got here. This signage, the dirt, the trees, just the whole serenity of it all. It looks fantastic. And AMX, one of our major partners here, doing such a fantastic job, and we really appreciate their support. Let's go down to Rihanna.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. And a familiar face from our Australian Superbike Championship in the Supersport 600, Max Stauffer. You've come down just to take a look at what it's like on the dirt.
Yeah, come down, having a look, you know. I love watching motorbikes, so I've come out to see how the Yamaha boys can go.
Have you ever had a go, and I think you started on a bit of a flat track, have you ever done any sort of motocross in your career?
I've definitely never done motocross, I can't jump, but I started off with a bit of flat track, learning the ropes before going over the road.
What do you think of what these boys do behind us?
It's crazy, you know, to watch them so high up in the air. It's just to think that they can do that with a bike underneath them. It's pretty cool. So something I'd like to learn one day, but happy to stick to road racing for now.
Keep it clean at the moment. Thanks, Max. Enjoy your day out. Pretty cool to have Max Stauffer here this weekend.
Oh, fantastic. Very much looking forward to seeing him in the next round of the ASBK. Round 5 at Morgan Park in Queensland. August 20th and 22nd, Hammy. Australian Superbike Championships. It's been heating up. Good friend of mine, Wayne Maxwell, he's on top. He's absolutely killing it at the moment.
one thing I do want to get to is one of them ASBKs. Really love to watch any kind of motorsport, and that is something that's very exciting at the moment. There's plenty of talent. There's a lot of great racing between all of them as we see our MX1 guys out on the line. Oh, little Butchbird enjoying himself here as well.
Now, I wonder if that could be an omen there for Kirk Gibbs. We see him on the inside. We've seen a lot of hole shots from that grid right there, Hammy. It's
told you, mate.
Working very, very well. You called it in the track report.
The two guys that have had the hole shots, I did make sure I personally went and said, go over there and use that for that inside. As we see our riders going out for their side. Oh, did you see the drive?
Oh, the traction. Did someone put a little bit of super glue there?
Yeah, I think so.
When you did the track report, you down there, you put a bit of monkey grip down there on grid 1.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure what I was saying was right. Oh, wow. One guy just going down in it's not even the first turn. It's really cross onto the track. It's never a good omen to go down on your sight lap. I think I have been there before. Please don't think I'm picking on anyone. I've been there. My day probably wasn't fantastic either. Being motocross, I'm sure it wasn't. But these guys are now going out. Again, it's for a lot of these riders. They were out pretty early in the day. The top 10 shootout did get themselves to have a look at some new lines, but most of these guys haven't seen the changes that have been made to this track. There was Wood just there on the 62 on the outside, another local rider that's been doing all these local races as well and was very quick here. He does like this track, so it would be good to see the Newcastle KTM rider getting up there with a good result. Top 10 rider, I think he should be up there around those positions. That's where he needs to be. Max Purvis on the 145. There is Duffy just on the outside of Clout. Two boys that are going to battle this one out side by side right there. Now, how's the mind games going right here between these two things?
Well, that's, we're going to find out soon enough. I think Luke Clout, he just feeds off confidence, and he's come straight off. He had a qualifying, fastest qualifier, and of course the pole shootout. So he will come into race 1 just oozing confidence. Regan Duffy, it was interesting. Traditionally, you look at this track here, and to me, I don't think of this as a Regan Duffy track. But I've got to say, I didn't think of Canberra as a Regan Duffy track. No. He didn't win, but he kept himself right in the mix. You've got to remember, Luke Clout's had a DNF of a moto. He's a long way off. We can't afford to let him win every moto, but you do have a little bit of maintenance that you can do with the points and still keep that lead. You can't afford to have a really bad round. And so for Regan Duffy, Canberra was a sensational round. He didn't win, but he was right up there in the points and stretched his points lead actually with that red plate. So speaking to Regan when we were walking around the pitch yesterday, the tone of his voice and what he said was really quite impressive. He said, look, I know this is not my type of track. He said, but I've never been more confident coming into a race like this. The program, Ross Beaton and his Beaton's Pro Formula, they've got a bunch of riders at a really top level. Kyle Webster, Regan Duffy, and then a bunch of others, your Campbell Williams, your Ryder Kingsford, etc. They've been training on these particular types of tracks every day for weeks on end. So he comes in here feeling very, very confident. The only thing that I would say, and I don't want to put the moz on him, the starts for Regan Duffy have been a little bit less consistent than what we've seen from Luke Clout. So that's the only thing with how the track can stretch the riders out so easy here. So let's take a quick look at our Thor lineup at the MX1 classification, Moto 1. Luke Clout, number 4. We've got Kirk Gibbs, Todd Waters, Matt Moss, Aaron Tanti. We've got Regan Duffy, Melross Purvis, Brett Metcalf, and Lockie Latimer.
Jai Dixon back there, 11th, Jacob Moss. Jay Lamb, privateer, who's very, very fast around here. Joel Evans, Joel Whiteman, Connor Tierney, Joshua Whitehead, Ryan Fernandez. There's plenty of guys out there. Don't look at the bottom of the screen there where it's Luke Clout and Kirk Gibbs. Yep. But mentioning Kirk Gibbs, that's one thing I do want to say. We saw an exceptional ride. It's been a while since we've seen this out of Kirk Gibbs. The last round, he really stuck it to Clout in that turn. Canberra, really, really great ride, and he's looking strong today. Let's head down to Rihanna for an update.
Yeah, boys, I can really feel the tension building here on the start gates. We haven't raced for 8 weeks. Luke Clout, he is serious about this. Him and Regan Duffy, 1 round apiece currently. And as you said, the whole shot has come from these 2 spots, right where Kirk Gibbs is and Luke Clout. This is going to be on.
Yeah, great little pickup there, Rihanna. And also wanted to notice it was a great camera angle that we got there from Luke Clout doing textbook tyre warming for, look, I don't know about road racing, but I do know about motocross. It was spot on to see what he was doing. It starts off with a burnout for about 5 or 10 seconds where you just let the back wheel spin, and then what we can see at the moment is him punching the clutch and the throttle at the same time. Just little punches where the back wheel spins, and what it does is it tacks up that rear tyre and gets it to the point of where it's going to drive as good as possible off the concrete. Now, there's also a time frame that needs to be done. You can't do it too early. If you do it too early, the tyre cools down. If you do it too close to the gate dropping, then it ends up getting too hot and drops. We're in the starter's hands. Watch this gate 1 and 2. Great jump from Gibbsy and a little mistake from Clout. So I think we've got another hole shot from grid 1, a clear hole shot for, well, 1 and 2.
Yep. Oh, and Clout straight away moves himself past Gibbsy around that corner. But another one to mention there, the 102 of Matt Moss. Matt has done a lot of laps around here as well. You know what, those guys, some of them guys on the inside did not get the greatest jump out. The outside riders did, but they still didn't make the start. It's just so long way around there.
Picking up Regan Duffy back in about 8th or 9th spot, and he needs to make hay while the sun shines. He needs to pass some people while they're close together and they don't spread out too much.
They can't let Clout get that start. Regan Duffy can't let Clout have a start like that and
Matt Moss
back.
already up into second place.
Matt
Moss, and he wants to try to latch onto the back of Clout. He's sticking with him so far.
Yeah, oozes confidence, doesn't he, Matt Moss?
Yeah.
He really believes himself. He backs himself 100%. And if he can do that and stick onto the back of him, then you know what? He's in with a chance. But it's going to be very tough to try and run that pace as we look at our 100% whole shot. And it is officially awarded to Kirk Gibbs, but just wasn't quite as intense in the first couple of corners. And those passes, they're made quick.
Well, really, it was the exit of turn 1. It was halfway through turn 1 where Clout ducked down and made the pass and had that clear lead by the time they went over that first jump. So as we mentioned before, it was Regan Duffy was back in 10th. He's moved up to 9th, but every single name in front of him is a big name, Danny.
Yeah, as we saw just momentarily, Tanti and Todd Waters battling it out as they go over the finish line. This is probably our first race where Tanti has come into it without an issue. The last round he surgically had a fingernail removed only a day or two before Canberra round, so he was struggling with the pain of that. Of course, round 1 he was still dealing with a scaphoid, I think it was, or an injury of some sort, so wasn't able to ride. So this is the first one that he's gone into comfortably, and I spoke to him yesterday. He said, you know, he's really looking forward to it. He feels good on the bike. They are chipping away with it. They do realise they're a couple of races behind with their just being ready to go out and race. These other guys have all got a couple under their belt. So they're just going to keep chipping away. But right now, look at this.
The lead already from Clout, and Matt Moss dropped back into the clutches of Gibbsy, who is looking pretty damn good at the moment. Gibbs has got Tanti back there. So looking really quite nice, trying to make a move. It does get a little bit tight and has a hook at the end, and Matt Moss's line will lead him back to the inside. Unfortunately, both lines come together there, but nice setup, and I like trying to see alternative lines. If you follow the rider, A, there's no way you can pass them. B, if they make a mistake or have a crash, you run into them. You've got all kinds of dramas. But what I'm liking is we're seeing Todd Waters and Brett Metcalf, a couple of the old dogs. And when I don't mean that with any disrespect at all. I just mean compared to some of this younger generation that are coming through. Those boys back there in 5th and 6th place. And it'd be interesting to see how those guys, we know they've got good fitness, need to pick up that sprint pace just a tad.
Oh, Waters standing all the way around the outside. That was beautiful. Nice and smooth as we see 2nd and 3rd heading up towards the finish line jump to complete their 2nd lap. And already that lead is stretching out 3.4 seconds for our race leader, the only rider to be at a 150.5 in the 50-second bracket. Everyone else is 51 or 52 behind him. So a whole second faster that last lap around for our race leader. Waters around the outside. There is Metcalf now on screen. 24, the Honda rider onto the back wheel as Waters has a big slide out. We've seen that many times
on that jump. The back end stepping right out, manages to hold it and still staying in front of Metcalf. But it's another mistake that's happening, and it allows everyone else to close in behind. There is Duffy. He's made some passes.
He has made some passes, and if we have a look at the lap times, he's caught in traffic, but he is that half a second faster than the 3 or 4 ahead of him. Next in line is Brett Metcalf, then Todd Waters, then Aaron Tanti. So how quickly can he start to make his way through? I know Regan Duffy, even though he's 17 years old, it is mind-blowing to think of how young this kid is, but not just that, how old the head is on his shoulders and the way that he thinks. He's got someone in the form of Hayden Melross behind him who's got a lot of speed, right? So he does need to still not so much think too much about what's behind him, but he does need to be aware of that. Last thing you want to do is lose your momentum because you get slotted back a position.
Yeah, there is our race leader. He is just starting to check out. It'd be great to see that little battle, though. There was 5 riders about to bunch up in the battle between Tanti, Waters, Metcalf, Duffy, Melross.
Oh.
As we see, also Gibbs around the outside of Matt Moss.
Beautiful.
So a good pick up there by our cameras into second place. And that Tanti's right there as well. This is going to be fantastic. Yes, we have a rider that is checking out at the front at the moment, but second through to 9th place. All right there, all over this finish line right now. Let's have a look at this. Second, third, fourth, fifth, just in the screen as well. So there is plenty of talent up the front here. We're going to see a rip snort before this one's done.
Well, let's not forget this first moto for the MX1 category presented by Thor. This is a 30-minute plus a lap race, okay? As opposed to Moto 2 is 2 separate back-to-back 15-minute races. So it's riders who may not back themselves in fitness-wise need to consider. We see Todd Waters starting to come up on the back of these riders now. Todd is a machine. He can just keep going. Tanti lays down the gauntlet around the outside of Matt Moss.
That was very, very confident, wasn't it?
Yes.
He did say he was feeling much better on the bike, and it is showing right now. Staying with those riders behind Tanti in the back there. Have a look. There's the next 4, 5, 6, 7 riders that are all going to bunch up behind Moss as well. So there is plenty of real estate being used on the track at the moment as we see Metcalf in the sights of Duffy now as they go through this tight part. Mossy maybe tightening up just a little bit because these riders are coming up on him probably a little quicker than I was expecting.
Yeah, look, he's dropping back into the clutches of some big-name riders at the moment. He needs to stop the bleeding. He could quite easily get shuffled out the back, and he needs to. You've got to remember, Matt Moss, he doesn't do this for a living. He's in the excavator during the week. He's working, etc. So, and I think what we've seen from Manjum up 15,000, he loves those shorter races where we can see the good start, the aggression, that craziness, the speed.
Yep.
That is just a little bit harder to sustain for that 35 minutes when you're not doing this for a living.
Did Waters throw it into that punch just then? It almost looked like he was going to get stepped straight out the front as they go to knock down another lap. And have a look at this replay. What a move around the outside. This is where he dives into the corner. Watch this, the back, well, the whole bike just really dives in and then just stops instantly. That was a pretty close moment actually there for Waters. Yes. It could have ended much worse than it did. And we see that Duffy now has got himself past Metcalf. Next in line is Moss. There is Melross, the 45 machine. He still sits behind this little bunch of riders. So yes, dropped off the back. We have lost Purvis off the back of this little group. But good ride by all of these. Yeah, it's a creative line.
Very creative.
But there's been many riders using that creative line.
There's no track marker there.
There's no track marker there. That's correct.
That's, if anything, that's part of racing, finding those type of lines out there.
If all the riders in front of you are going to take advantage of that one, I'm fine with that. No problem at all. Maybe they need to have a look at it after the race.
Look, I don't want to focus on this too much, but I wanted to bring to attention once again the starts. I don't want that to become an issue as the season progresses for Regan Duffy, for someone who barely have any chinks in his armour whatsoever. Another average start is the only thing, perhaps, if you're
get back into the groove and back around the outside. This is a good move. He's liking these outsides, but that one has hurt.
Little mistake there, and that's dropped him back into the clutches of Duffy, which I think is going to be ready to pounce up the inside into this next left-hander. We'll open it up, and there we go.
So Duffy's standing almost the entire way through. Melross has made himself past Metcalf as well. So Metcalf has gone back a little bit. It's real back and forward, isn't it, between all of these riders? We think, or just as we think, there's a little pattern going on up the inside. Duffy there on Waters. Did he make the pass? No, but I can promise you they were going to come together if that was going to be pushed at all. As we see, there is Metcalf on screen, 24, the Honda rider. We expect to see him pushing a little bit harder as we go towards the mid part of this race.
Kirk Gibbs has matched the time of Luke Clout with a 150 out front in that last lap, and then Tanti with a 52 at 51 from Todd Waters, but Regan Duffy a 150 as well. He is on fire at the moment. So, yeah, let's just keep an eye on these guys. We've got Matt Moss also just trying everything he can to latch on here. It's just, he seems to be riding a bit of a wave of just brilliance, and then a little bit of, shall we say, let's pause for a second and then remount another challenge.
It doesn't take much for the wind to be taken out of the sails when you make a small mistake and you see, all that work that you just put in to catch a rider in front of you. Out of one mistake, all of a sudden you're 2 seconds back off them, and you've got to make up all that ground again, and mentally it's draining. So you really need to be staying strong in the mental game, focused on what he's doing and moving forwards. As
look at Duffy coming up on the back of Todd Waters at the moment as we speak. He's really found his feet, and he should be growing in confidence because he knows how far he's come from the back of the pack, and he will have so much energy. So little mistake there from Brett Metcalf stepping sideways coming out of that corner.
Well, Mossy's dropped back behind him as well, so not feeling the groove quite as much, I don't think. Mossy is stepped back just a little bit, possibly, if I'm correct. There is Melross right there.
It's a long, if you're not feeling comfortable, it's a long time and you look at your pit board and go, hey, I've got 20 minutes to go here.
Yeah, well, we are half race distance, so half knocked out, but this is the race distance that we'll see later on. Yep. So that could absolutely play into the favour of Matt Moss as they push down another lap. The Honda looks pretty settled. Wow, Lent right over that time is Metcalf, and they are starting to fall back off those couple of riders just in front of them a little bit. Melross with a small mistake through that rut as they crossed over the start line. And then into this tricky corner. Oh, Dylan Wood, 3 riders going down there. Who else is in that one? Number 15 is a part of that as well. 81. So we just try and locate some of them. But that's the problem, though. We speak of it. If you're following the rider in front, you've got nowhere else to go.
Jai Walker, 15, who I believe up until this weekend was our highest placed privateer. So, yeah, unfortunately coming together, a little bit of a 3-way disaster right there.
Well, last lap around for our leader at 52.8. The next 2 places are 51.8
and a 51.6 for Tanti. We're starting to
get into some lap riders.
Yeah, perhaps lap riders, and who knows, perhaps a slight little changing of momentum.
Oh, Gibbsy. Yes. That was scary there. There was a little bit of a moment. He held it, no problem, but it's something as a rider, as you and I will know, that feeling of that back wheel stepping out on something so high speed in that little area, it's unsettling.
And just coming into shot there with the camera, we could see how close Tanti, Waters and Duffy all starting to get closer together, and closer than what the actual timesheets are showing us at the moment. So it'd be great to get a little bit of that on camera in a sec. But in the meantime, let's quickly go down to Rihanna.
Yeah, bike number 511, Jay Lamb on the Yamaha. He's put into the pits a couple of times and his race is done. He's headed off to the paddock, so some kind of mechanical issue for him. Pretty disappointing. He currently sits top 10 in this championship, so that's really going to hurt him.
Unfortunate for Jay Lamb, privateer. He's been riding exceptionally well over the recent races around the local area, really pushing it up there out in front of the field as well. So unfortunate for him, but I'm sure we'll see him back out there as well in the next race as we see our race leader answer the call that last lap around. We did mention he did a 52 the previous lap, a 50.8 that last lap. So obviously into lapped riders, but this is the great battle ride here for, there is Kirk Gibbs. Second here is our 3rd, 4th and 5th. Good battle right now. Love to stick on these guys and see how this one pans out for the next 8 minutes, I think it's going to be, and this should be a little bit sorted.
We're just about to say Regan Duffy rocketed out of that Gabrielle corner there a couple of corners back, and he's trying to set up a pass here, almost going to be next to, not quite. It's a bit of an optical illusion. However, they line up here, and if he can get to an inside, no, he has to choose for a different line here, but all kinds of pressure. This is anyone's at the moment, and knowing how fit Regan Duffy is at the moment, I'm going to have to say going into the latter stages of this race, he's in a very, very good position. He just needs to minimise the mistakes, have a couple of things go his way, and he could find himself right up there.
I think right now Waters is the one that's found another gear, looking around the outside of Tanny. He knows the pressure from Duffy, and he makes the pass. Tanny now needs to latch onto that back wheel and try and pick up some of those new lines that Waters has found. And I tell you, that's probably the first time I've seen that outside line work. Not in the past in the corner, but actually set him up really good down that straight. Kept a lot of momentum and was able to make that pass. And there is Duffy just sitting the back wheel.
Just lurking.
Yeah, every single lap. Nice inside line right there, nice and tight.
Yeah, and it's going to set you up to swoop into this next corner. I was just going to make comment, Hammy, we've seen a few passes made in that sand section into that high-speed right-hander, where if you can rail the outside and get next to the rider, you own the inside on the next corner. There's been at least 3 or 4 really good passes set up there. So
lucky you covered that in the track preview, mate.
Of course, mate.
All over that one.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yep, absolutely. There's a big move now by Duffy up the inside. He is right there on Tanny. We see Tanny ripping off one of those tear-offs, get some clear vision. Duffy around the outside. This is another place that's the illusion because it's a long way around the outside, but he does carry a lot of speed here.
Scrubs
big
and
jumps.
stays low.
Yeah, he has a lot of momentum. The head is down. They are going to fight for this one, and Tandy backs out of it.
Yes.
This is a good ride, though, by Aaron Tandy. He can still take away a good, solid performance out of this race and go into the next race and moving forward in the championship. This is a really, really good ride.
Yeah, it's going to be no mean feat by Duffy to get past and leapfrog Todd Waters. He's a reigning champion. He's got #1 plate on for a very good reason. However, it's really what he needs to do. Duffy needs to try to do that if he's got any hope of trying to keep tabs on Luke Clout for the overall today. A third is not too bad for the overall. You come out with a win in the final moto. Even if Clout comes out and gets a second in the final moto and wins overall on the day, it's damage control. You haven't done too much damage to your points.
You're right, though. He is going to need to work on that start. And it's so easy. You'll know yourself, Lee, when you do these concrete starts. And we saw that practice start that was exceptional out of Kirk Gibbs. He absolutely nailed it. And I was going to bring up the point at that time when we got back to the line that, yes, in your practice start, it's not easy to do, but you can focus yourself on getting out of the gate nice with a good drive out. Race situation, though, it's very easy to go a little bit too hard on the throttle or a little bit too aggressive on that clutch and get that wheel spin. It does not take much at all to ruin your start just by getting a little bit too excited. So if you can calm yourself down the start and really work on that, get himself a good top 5. That's all he needs, a top 5 start. And then I think he'll be in with a good shot at getting that next win.
Well, it's so true. And the thing is, concrete starts, it goes against everything that you want to do with racing. When you think racing, you think, okay, red mist in the goggles, let's drop the hammer, pinned as hard as you can go, let's lean forward, let's be aggressive. However, concrete starts are the opposite. You have to sit straight up and down, which is almost a defensive mode. You have to be really smooth on the throttle and not too much in order to go fast. So the faster you try to go, the slower you're going to go. It goes against everything that we want to do. So it takes a calm and present mindset to be able to get a good start on the concrete. And quite clearly we saw there with Gibbsy and Luke Clout, they managed to do that exceptionally well.
Clout now maintains a 7.5 second lead. That is a really comforting thought, isn't it? When you're out in their lead in a position like this, knowing that you've got 6.5 minutes left in this race, you have 7 seconds over the next rider. It's really comforting to know that you can just ride around and deal with the race as you please, honestly. Make them no mistakes. Of course, I don't believe he's slowing down. He's 151.3 fastest, not quite fastest on track, but very close. So yeah, he hasn't slowed down, but he's in a comfort zone.
Todd Waters just dropped a 150.9, almost the fastest lap of the race so far in that last lap. He is on fire, and he's pulled another 2 seconds out on Regan Duffy, so it's going the wrong way for Duffy. But Todd Waters, very, very impressive.
Yeah, well,
this is the best form we've seen from him all year.
Yep, he said that it looked like he found another gear, and it's exactly what is going on right now as he tries to make up that distance. Is it doable? 3 seconds? There's time on the clock. They've got enough laps, but if he can maintain that fast pace coming through these lap riders and clear them nice and quickly, he has that chance of maybe getting up to Gibbs. If Gibbs has any moments in these lap riders, if he gets caught up just a little bit, if Waters gets to a point where he can see him and physically go, I can do that, I can make that distance, then we may see a charge, but he is back just a little bit at the moment.
Well, wouldn't that be great to see a Todd Waters versus Gibbs little battle on the track for some of the traditionalists, some of the old school punters from a few years back, something we haven't seen for quite a while. Luke Clout out on his own, doing his own thing. He controls this race, and it all started from a good start, but a great first turn, and what set himself up for potentially a race 1 win here for the Thor MX Moto 1. But yeah, that'd be great to see a Kirk Gibbs on the Honda and a Todd Waters on the Husqvarna little battle. He does have a little bit of ground that he needs to make up. Regan Duffy looks as if he has dropped back just a tad. He needs to make sure he doesn't drop back into the clutches of Tandy. He can't afford to lose any more positions here, that's for sure.
Well, we're going to get a bit of an answer, and I think visually just then we might have some kind of idea as we see two riders go over the finish. No, that last lap around, a 51.7 for Gibbs, a 52.06 for Waters.
Well, so Todd Waters just tipped it into a rut. You were looking at the timing screen, you missed it, Hammy. He tipped it in that hard like he was doing a photo shoot or something. It looked spectacular. You do need to be a bit careful. The ruts get a little bit fragile. It's really quite easy for them to blow out on a track like this, but that looked beautiful.
4 minutes left, so we are talking around about 4 more laps. See the back end at that time around completely out of the rut, and it didn't phase Waters a bit. He just kept on the gas. There is Gibbs, and have a look in the background. There is Waters. It's visually pretty close, and they are coming up onto some lap riders. That's almost close enough for Waters to start thinking, hey, I've got a chance at this. There is the time on the clock, as we said. If he does run some more lap times, good ride here by Melrose. He has made it up past Tanty as well. Oh, no, sorry, he still sits there in Metcalf.
He's got Metcalf behind him.
They have got Tanty. There he is there.
Tanty must have had some kind of a drama. So not a bad little final part to the race from Brett Metcalf here. He's found an extra gear and just trying to step it up a notch, because he wouldn't have been too happy with that first half. A little bit of a front wheel bobble there for the South Australian rider who, truth be known, is an interesting situation for him to get out of Adelaide to come over here. He's going to have to quarantine when he heads back home to Adelaide, but of course something you'd be prepared to do, and this is your life, your job, something he's well and truly prepared to do.
As we mentioned, solid ride there for Aaron Tanny on the number 9 Gas. As we still continue to watch Brett Metcalf on the 24, always looks so nice and controlled.
Now, while we're talking about Honda for a second there, Ham, you just want to quickly touch base from an ASBK point of view. Tragic or devastating news. Troy Herfoss, one of our superstars in road racing, and always battling for first place, quite often with Wayne Maxwell. A massive crash at the last round of the ASBK with quite some substantial injuries, a compound fracture of the humerus and a pretty bad break of the femur up near the ball joint of the hip. So it was quite critical for a little while. He's stabilised now, surgery immediately up in Darwin, and he's on the mend now. So we definitely like to wish Troy Herfoss a full and speedy recovery from all of us here.
Well, as you can see on our leaderboard up there, the Thor leaderboard on the left-hand side, it is down to 1.8 seconds between Gibbs and Waters. So this last couple of laps, no mistakes, is vital as they make their way through a few more lap riders. There is Clout looking very strong, and this is a track that it's got Clout's name written all over it, doesn't it? It's the style of track that he can really be aggressive on. His riding style, it really suits the way he rides.
Well, he loves the dirt. He loves this style of track. He feeds off confidence. He's coming off not only a win at the last round, but a win against Duffy in his home state in Western Australia. So you don't get much more confidence than that, do you? You know, it's all playing into his hands from a confidence perspective. However, you must say, sometimes when everything's pointing towards you doing that and the expectation comes along, for some people that's too much pressure, not for Clout.
Well, it's exactly what we said. It only takes a lap rider to slow down Gibbs, and all of a sudden, as we can see on screen, there is Waters right in behind. So this is where our battle's going to be over the next 2 laps. That's all we got left is 2 laps.
Well, Hammy, what it's resulted from is a lap time of 1:54 from Kirk Gibbs, where both Clout and Todd Waters and Regan Duffy were in the 152s.
Yep.
That's what's happened. Now, was it a mistake, or is Gibbsy feeling the pinch a little bit at the moment? We're about to see. He'll either fall back into the clutches, or he'll respond with a 52 and come back.
I think we're going to see a 52 out of him out of this lap. I believe it was probably just maybe taking a little bit too easy in amongst the lap riders, as we see Waters try to go around the outside. Remember, it doesn't work in the turn, but it does give him a lot of speed down this straight. It's all about scrubbing. There's 2 different lines coming in here. Waters is opting for the outside. There isn't a lap rider to the inside, but I don't think it's going to play
this
against
outside
him.
corner speed from Todd Waters. Very nice from Gibbsy. He managed to thankfully pick up that exit speed, because how it was looking in the first half of that corner, Todd Waters was looking like he was going to have the pass made. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, we've seen 3 little mistakes from Kirk Gibbs. They're just little ones, little front wheel push, little step to the side. So I think he's feeling the pinch here, and he's going to need to break this rhythm, this mold that's happening, and try to get back into it. Otherwise...
if he can make it to the last lap board this time around, he'll be in with a chance. He needs to make it there. A last lap board is a sign of magic for you as a rider sometimes. You're able to do things that you physically didn't think you were able to do.
That's a long way around the outside for Todd Waters there, and I believe that was a mistake, and that could prove very costly. As the last lap boards come out now, he doesn't find himself on the back anymore. So that was a little bit of a rookie mistake, that outside line there, especially from someone who's been as fast as he had on that inside line.
Well, the answer there, 52.2.
There you go. Come back with the 52.
Yep.
That's the answer we were looking for.
Yep. So he definitely had the speed in the late part of the race. Just dealing with the lap riders has been a big challenge for these guys as they work their way through the rest of the field. Still 8 seconds lead out by Clout over Gibbs and Waters, as we see the 162 machine also out there just battling it out with himself at the moment, but I'm sure he had some good battles earlier on in the race. It does become a lonely ride sometimes out there, but you just got to keep pushing forwards. Gibbs, nice and comfortable at the moment.
Now, Hammy, just quickly would like to make mention, all the way down to 7th place, Max Purvis with the 152 in that last lap. So not only him, Metcalf, Melross, all in the 52s. Duffy and Todd Waters with a 53, and Kirk Gibbs, as you mentioned, dropped down to a 52. Luke Clout controlling the lead at the moment. He's in that part of the race where he's absolutely in the clear, and he's starting to wind it down and get ready. No risks needing to be taken on that final lap. However, Hammy, you and I both can confess on this one and say the last thing you want to do is completely slow down too much in the latter part of the race. When you start hitting ruts and bumps and jumps at such a different pace to what your full race pace is, it can actually sometimes bring disaster. However, here we see checkered flag out and a race win in the Thor MX1 Moto 1 for Luke Clout, and he is pumped. He's kept the momentum rolling. Fresh off a win from the Manjimup 15,000. The CDR Monster Energy boys will be over the moon. There you see team technician Gary Van in there, giving him a little bit of a tap on the back, and it won't be long until we see the likes of Craig Dack and Brad McAlpine in there doing likewise. Social distancing, of course.
Of course. He only touched the bike,
No taps on the bum allowed.
As we see the rest of the riders coming through there. Aaron Tanti, unfortunate for him, the close out of that race wasn't as solid as the, 4/5 of that race. So possibly something gone wrong there, a little issue, maybe just a little bit of arm pump. It was a very fast pace the entire race that he was up there. So, you know what, a good, strong ride still out of him, but I know that in the next race he'll be coming out pushing through a bit harder.
And both the Moss twins, number 102 and 103, finishing in 9th and 10th, both next to each other on the track, however, not too close to each other on the track time-wise. The results of the Thor MX1, let's take a look here. Luke Clout with a solid win. Kurt Gibbs rebounding very well to hold on to second. Todd Waters impressive in third. Duffy in fourth. Melross rounding out the top 5.
Metcalf also with a good solid ride at the end. Purvis, he was up there very quick at the start. Tanti, Moss, and Moss rounds out our top 10. Joe Dixon, Connor Tierney, Joel Whiteman, Lockie Latimer, and also Joel Evans.
Yeah, great to see Tierney in there in the Suzuki flying the flag for the yellow machines. They're back in 12th. He'd be hoping to get right up there somewhere in the top 10. He'd be trying to make the most of that little sand section right there.
It's only a very small section as we head down to Rihanna with our race 1 winner, Luke Clout.
Yeah, taking out the Thor MX1, Moto 1 from CDR Monster Energy Yamaha. Luke Clout, congratulations. This momentum's certainly starting to build. You're on fire at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just starting to click. Everything's really, working well for me. I'm really training hard at home, and I've got a really good program going on. And I'm just doing my thing, and it's paying off. So, I'm riding this wave of confidence. I've won a lot of races now, and want to keep the ball rolling.
You built that lead out to 8 seconds towards the end. You looked really comfortable. Are you happy sort of riding on your own, or you prefer to be in a bit of a battle?
Oh, obviously everyone likes to be out on their own, but your mind kind of wanders a little bit when you're out, trying not to make a mistake. And there was a few laps there I made a few little mistakes, but I started finding some lines and correcting myself. So, I'm just happy to keep getting good starts and keep doing that. It makes it a lot easier for me. So, I got out to a comfortable lead and just kind of managed it, and threw some laps down towards the end and started pulling a little bit more, which is good to know. So looking forward to the last 2 races.
Just give us a quick brief update on how the track's forming up throughout the day.
Yeah, it's tough. The track crew made some changes just then and, helped the track out a little bit. So it was a lot better then for us. It actually opened up and made some more lines. So, it's getting pretty tough. So the last 2 motors are going to be pretty tough, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, so do we. Congratulations. Well done, Luke Clout.
Well, what a sensational race 1 win there for Luke Clout and the CDR Monster Energy Yamaha team in the Thor MX1 category. Let's take a look at the start here and the highlights for MX1.
One thing I didn't notice is that Clout actually wheel stood off the start line. You don't see that very often.
It looked like a bad start, still somehow ended up top 2 into the corner first. Yep. That's when you're hungry, that's what happens.
It was a great battle between all of these riders. Duffy was in the thick of it way back there. He really needs to sort them starts out going into the next one. As we saw Gibbs,
nice.
I was very impressed with Gibbs, very impressed. This is the old Gibbs that so many people have expected to see for so long, and it's good to see that he's back up there pushing hard.
Yeah, I think we can expect to see more from the Moss boys, and particularly Matt come these back-to-backs later in the day. He'll get those starts dialed. He loves these kind of tracks. But Todd Waters talking, as he slams into the first part of that run. He was very hungry. He's super happy with his bike at the moment, and he made some very impressive moves. Come up to the back of Kurt Gibbs, but it just wasn't quite enough with Gibbsy responding. Medi had some struggles in the first half of the race, seemed to be stronger at the end. Here we say a 3-way and almost a 4-way carnage on the inside there.
Matty, though, did everything right in that race. He looked so comfortable. As you said, the confidence is a big thing for him at the moment. He truly believes every time he's on the bike that he is going to win, and right now he is proving that. As we saw Waters, this is the thing. If you leave your charge too late, if you start too far back in the field, it's almost impossible to move it, especially with the amount of talent we've got out there at the moment, move all the way to the front. So he needs to do this move, this starts much better so that he can challenge for that top 2 places.
Yeah, great job. Gibbsy back on screen again. I'm loving the passing opportunities here, Hammy, at Maitland. Normally when you rip a track this deep, you don't get many line options and tends to form into a 1-line track. Not the case here. We're seeing the best of both worlds. We're seeing deep ruts and we're seeing passing opportunities. And what a win as Luke Clout slaps down on the number 4 on his bike. Probably rubbed that seat a few times talking to it, going, all right, baby, let's do this. We've got it together. We're a team. All right, guys, it's time for another break here. Stick around.
From its humble beginnings in Melbourne nearly 100 years ago, Penrite is now a truly respected global lubricants brand. Yet it's still a 100% Aussie-owned family business employing Aussies on Aussie dirt.
Welcome back to the Penrite ProMX Motocross Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores. We have had a couple of fantastic races already today. MX2, MX1 and MX3 have all completed their first motos. These guys, the Evo class, also have had their first race for the day, and they are back on track for moto number 2. The track now is going to be quite a bit different from the last time they went out. I don't know if that's going to benefit these guys at all. I know that a lot of these guys, well, not a lot of guys, I'm not going to make them sound bad, but they do like a much flatter track than what we are seeing here at the moment. And rightfully so. When you're riding a bike of this level, I'm sure that a smoother track is probably more ideal any day of the week.
Well, absolutely, Danny Hammond. I'm going to say there's two factors to consider here with these bikes. First of all, it's not going to be quite as muddy and slippery. However, the old fork leg issue with that overhang coming down towards the bottom of the tyre is going to play a little bit of a factor because the ruts are so much deeper than what they would have experienced in the first race. As we saw, Craig Anderson had his hands full. He got a great start. However, he had Liam Beverley all over him, who took the lead, and they were swapping the lead like it was nobody's business. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the racecraft and tenacity from Craig Anderson is going to play in his hands here. Looking forward to seeing how Liam Beverley responds and if he can race quite as effectively as he did in that first one, because he was really quite impressive, I must say.
Yeah, I don't think we can count him out at all. Another one to throw in the mix, Danny Emerson. Of course, went down in turn number 2, thanks to his brother, of all people. Just a small mistake, just didn't read the corner right. He bumped and he went down. So if he can stay upright in this one and get himself off to a good start, I think we will have a third player in this little battle up the front. Danny Anderson, still a very accomplished rider. Of course, a pro racer, motocross racer, supercross racer, back from the early 2000s, 99, 90, late 90s, 2000s, early 2000s. Yes, this is an issue with the old bikes. 1, 2. Oh, not bad.
There we go.
Two kicks. She got going. But just have a look how pristine these bikes are. Yeah, there's a lot of effort being put into these bikes to make sure that they are at their absolute top level. And I can tell you, trying to find parts for these bikes are not easy. Hence the very high price tag that comes along with them parts.
Yeah, the tone of your voice, I can actually hear. It almost speaks as if you're talking with experience there, shall we say?
Not to this level. And you know what? It may be some of these bikes may be easier to find parts than others. There is certain bikes that just prove to be quite a challenge to find parts for. I know I've got one that's in development at the moment. I'm not going to say what it is. I will say that I do have some very fancy parts on it, almost like a show bike. I do look forward to eventually getting that thing up and running when I can find some room in the shed and some extra dollars to get it going. As we head down to Rihanna, she's got something for us on the start line with these bikes.
Liam Beverley, good battle earlier with Craig Anderson. He reckons you've got to do him though in fitness.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. For an old fella, he still goes pretty good on the bike. So and he's been riding a fair bit lately. So see how we go in this one. Track's looking pretty rough still, but just going out there to have some fun. See how we go.
These boys are having fun, but there's a fair bit of smack talk going along down here as well. So lots to look forward to for this one.
Hey Rihanna, how's the smell down there with these two strokes? It's something you may not have experienced too much, I don't think.
Oh look, everyone loves a two-stroke, don't they? But I like the fact that the boys said none of these bikes are all older than you. So I think Ando's bike is an 81. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see them down here.
Well, fantastic, and have a listen to those bikes from close up. I like the old Mako there, just giving it a little bit of a rev tune for us, and you can almost smell the castor oil from, you know, through the TV screen. Great footage there, and such a good initiative to have this class here on the big screen. You know, on a track like this, with all the race teams around. Bet you there's a lot of the, you know, your likes of your Gary Ben and your Craig Dax and all those type of guys. When they look down, they see probably some bikes they may have raced back in the day.
Interesting thing as we panned across the start there, did you see Craig Anderson's starting position? Is he challenging himself a little bit, putting himself on the complete outside? I don't think there's any more gates out there.
No, that's an interesting one.
Well, he did get out to a good start last time. I didn't pay attention to where he was lined up on the start of the first race. As we take a look at our Penrite lineup for the Moto 2 or the Classic MX, Craig Anderson on the 100 machine, Liam Beverley, who challenged all the way, 133. Danny Anderson, 199. David Middleton, Trent Allison, and the rest of the boys all getting set for this one. As we are in the starter's hands, 15 seconds board is up. We are about to go sideways with this thing, and we'll have 5 seconds before the gates drop.
Have a look at these guys leaning forward. Totally not the way you want to start on concrete. Oh, we had one rider in the far inside. He knew what he was doing.
Anderson.
Look at Ando from the far outside coming across. I don't think he's going to get there first.
He is close.
No, it's
Beverley.
Yeah, Beverley managed to.
And David Middleton on the 4-stroke.
Wow. Yeah, got caught in that mud. How deep was that mud for Beverley coming out of that first turn? He looks like he's very...
Oh! Look how Craig Anderson and everyone that might be in front of him, they're about to be barreled over by a big bike.
Ando, I think, forgot that he had 3 centimetres of rear suspension as he came into some of the biggest braking bumps that you'll ever catch on a motocross track, or perhaps he thought he was still on the 450 from back at Banjima, but that gave him a very quick reminder in the rear end that you need to treat these things with respect.
Yes, respect, big key here as we see our top 3 riders. Anderson looking to that inside line, right behind Beverley, and straight behind them on the 199. That is Danny Anderson as well, so he has got himself off to a good start. Middleton's moved back 1 more position, and the bike in front, Yamaha, I'm just waiting. Oh, Anderson muscling his way through right there. Completely throwing that weight around and dominating. Oh, Beverley not taking a lying down and throwing him off the track. This is fantastic stuff right here. Yes, dig into Anderson. That's what we like to see. As Beverley
puts himself back into the lead, but Anderson diving deep. Either that or he's forgotten he's got drum brakes on and throws himself into the corner and back into the lead.
This is some of the best racing we've seen in any of the classes, and it's continued from the first round of racing for these guys, where we saw the lead change so many times. Now, Danny Anderson all over the back of Beverly at the moment, trying to get in on the action. He wants to get in there. Ando standing all the way through there.
Great shot here from our drone. The outside with these bikes is actually pretty good. Keeps that momentum going as they go to the finish line. Oh, this is a great race. Danny Anderson tries to push in deep. Beverly's got the line
Lines are going to come together.
Oh,
unfortunately, Ando makes a mistake. The old switcheroo we're seeing here.
Oh, and Danny Anderson's looking to the lead right now. Oh, he's not quite to get there at the moment. This is great support racing. We haven't seen this out of the other classes as much. This is fantastic to watch. Beverly, 133 in the lead. Now, this is his own bike. The other two that these two are on are borrowed. So, he's probably got a little bit more experience on the bike he's riding. Beverly out in front.
Look at how low the back end's sitting on Ando's bike.
Oh, a mistake. Yes, sorry, which one? Danny Anderson?
Yeah, no, so Craig Anderson's bike just sitting very low in the back compared to Danny Anderson's, and also Beverly's in the lead. They're sitting a lot more in that nicer part of the stroke.
I'm going to say that they probably didn't get a chance to throw a heavier spring out for Ando on the rear.
Well, Ando just needs to wind down just a couple of turns on the spring, but they're almost three abreast coming here into the corner. Are we going to see a pass from Danny Anderson as we do?
Very forceful. This is where Ando threw his weight around last time. Can he do it again? Oh, Beverly feeling the pressure there. Digsy around the outside.
That's a long way around there.
It is a very long way. Yeah, that one's not going to work, Danny Anderson. That's you need to change that one up, boy.
That was leaving the door open. He's lucky that that older brother didn't come in and give him what for.
This is going to be good over the next couple of laps. 6.5 minutes left. Danny Anderson can certainly do the race distance. Ooh. Diving down.
Pressure on, going from that far outside.
I've never seen Danny Anderson brake like that before. It was like he was holding on for his dear life, trying to pull that bike up. Good drive down there, though, this time to the inside, but this inside line is rough.
Have a look at the Suzuki front mudguard slapping around. It looks like it's about to snap off on Danny Anderson's bike. And when you snag a look at some of the others, it's almost very similar.
Craig Anderson
has thrown the big girl down, and he has not got the energy to recover from that, and still.
I'd like to see how many times it takes to kickstart this thing.
Oh no, he's in a little bit of a muddy spot there. That's going to. Let's not forget. Let's paint the picture here. We've got 3 races for these guys. Okay, so. He still has plenty of time to get up and run. He needs to get that bike going quickly because they've got a big gap over 4th place.
And we're not going to see it fully, but look to the top of the screen here, Craig Anderson.
Sideline. Is that front or back? And front coming out, front just tucked. And you know what? Standing up through the corner. I know you're a fan of it, Hammy. I know you're a fan of the standing through the corner. When a wheel starts to wash out and it goes pear-shaped, you got no leg out there to save you.
I'm not going to lie. This is making me happy.
Oh no, you got it going quick.
You got it going. Oh, the sleeves rolled up though.
Yes.
It was very unexpected for Craig Anderson just then.
Yeah, it's not very often to see something like that.
But great racing all the same as we take a look at this fantastic circuit here at Maitland and try and pick up our next riders to come through. There is 131, Peter Martin. Just getting around there. That one doesn't look like it's got a hell of a lot of suspension on the rear.
No.
So we see this battle still raging on up the front. Danny Anderson doing what he can at the moment. Oh,
the run-on effect, if you don't wind that idle down and you back off and it's still going ding, ding, ding. It just keeps pushing you with the drum brakes into the corner.
You don't have brakes to stop that motor.
Wow, the battle continues, and I think Liam Beverly well and truly now would...
Anderson, Digsy, Danny Anderson up the inside. So Beverly thought he had it all sorted out while Craig Anderson disappeared, but he forgot about his brother.
Oh,
and as I said, I've done a lot of racing against
Here's
Danny
the corner
Anderson.
where Craig Anderson crashes. He's got so seated position through there, Danny.
Yeah, he wasn't going to lose the front wheel that time around.
No, but Danny Anderson manages to keep a bit of momentum around the outside there and holds on to the lead. Now, the point situation at the moment, so correct me if I'm wrong, how we stand at the moment, Danny Anderson's gone from a third to a first here, and we've got Liam Beverley with 2 second placings. We're going to be looking very, very similar. Ando's back in 7th. Let's go down to Rihanna with a little bit of an update.
Yeah, and just to tidy up what happened at the start, you guys were questioning why Craig Anderson started from the very far gate. He actually got a penalty. The owner of the bike, Brad Anderson, no relation, he actually stepped over the gate to sort of tread down the mud. Didn't realise it was wrong, so Ando copped the penalty for that one. So, yeah, bit interesting, but all in good spirits over here.
I tell you what, I thought this class, to be quite honest, might have been a little bit boring, but it is throwing everything it has.
Have a look at Danny Anderson and Liam Beverley. This battle continues, and neither rider is going to want to give an inch here.
Oh, Beverley's got it back.
Wow. I think we need to...
Oh! Look out for the suspension. It looked like he was going to overjump a mile. And he was off the seat too. Did that exist back then? Off the seat jumping?
Seat bouncing when you go, well, look, there's about 18 inches of seat foam. It just doesn't go up. It just doesn't go up onto the tank. However, in the middle, there's plenty of cushion for seat bouncing. So
the amount of time I spend on the seat these days, I probably wish I had that kind of seat on my bike as well.
Oh, this is great, this split section where both come together, and Danny Anderson has the inside, and a little bit of a kicker that Liam Beverley hit there caused him a little bit of grief, and Danny Anderson smart enough to come across and cover that inside line.
Beverley with better speed.
Got the old slingshot effect coming out of the corner there. Wow, what a race. This almost looks like scripted WWF wrestling.
Well, Danny Anderson loves his outside line. Oh, Beverley went for the inside, but he forgot about the drums, and he just did not make it there. So he had to compensate. He did a midline. I'll tell you, that midline was pretty good.
It was good, and Nelly made a pass, and now he's really quite fast here as he drifts a little bit wider than Danny Anderson as they approach. Unfortunately, all lines come together for this main inside line here after the finish. However, Liam Beverley's got a good passing opportunity up here. It's what he did last time. He rails around the outside and then he owns the inside here. That's the second time.
Oh, Danny Anderson! The Anderson boys have just thrown it away in this race.
That just...
he's up and going.
Crash mania. He managed to keep the bike going. He's just snapping gears, trying to get it down.
That flywheel was going to take another 5 minutes to slow down, mate.
Oh,
it was
look
never
at
going
the
to
muffler.
stop.
That muffler is it's held on by some wire and a little bit of duct tape, I'm thinking.
Have a listen to it as it comes by here. It's going to be a nice note. It's the same thing in the first race.
Look, there is no way the front of that muffler is connected to the exhaust, so it's just on for looks. Can you imagine how loud that is down trackside?
Oh, Beverley now looking the goods. Nice and comfortable through the centre part here.
Muffler connected.
Yes, all parts of bike still attached.
Yes.
I think that is a big key right here. As long as you have bikes attached by the end of the day, you are a winner. You can walk away happy.
Watching,
there is Danny Anderson.
Sorry. Watching the progress of Craig Anderson as he's trying to make his way through, and looking at the big picture for the overall for the day, he's got a win. Doesn't really need to. Looking at Liam Beverley staring down the barrel of a 2-1, and then Ando needs to make his way up at least to a top 3. So currently, he's got like 30 seconds that he needs to try to make up. That's not going to happen here. So he just needs to pray for some dramas for Liam Beverley, who really hasn't put a foot wrong so far.
I promise you that heart rate was going flat out trying to kick that bike over. No more touch button electric starts riding today for you, Ando. As we head towards the finish line, it is Liam Beverley. He will have 1 lap to go this time around. I'm sure that a lot of these guys are going to be absolutely thrilled to see that. But Beverley has done an exceptional job here. He has weathered the storm and all challenges that were put to him. And right now that bike is looking really good underneath him. Takes a quick glance over his shoulder to see where Danny Anderson is. I can hear Anderson. That is his sound coming past the camera. Go across the start line once again.
Just while we're doing this last lap, we've still got a couple of corners up our sleeves. It almost looks like there's a heap of bugs out there on screen. That was interesting through that section. I just wanted to quickly make mention of some of our very important sponsors and supporters who play a huge role in track markers. Companies by the name of Pirelli tyres, we've got Dunlop tyres as well out there. Penrite Oils, of course, our main naming rights sponsor. Yamaha, we've got Mark Luxich, good friend of mine, who has Auto Light and Gabrielle out there on separate corners. So all of these guys have got their track markers. Exceptionally important to have these companies on board. Oakley Eyewear, Mountain Shade Tents, another big one. So all these guys, we'll try to give them a little bit of a plug. Thor riding gear. We'll try to call the corners when something happens out there, but very, very important to have these sponsors on board supporting Penrite Oils ProMX, brought to you by AMX Superstores, of course. What a fantastic job it's been from Liam Beverley. He has gone second place in race 1 and looking like it's going to string together a fantastic. It's really last man standing, isn't it, here? You had everyone else falling down around him, and he's just been looking, going, right, who have I got here? Who's sticking with me for the duration as he makes his way in this very latter part of the final lap here. Liam Beverley, number 133, coming through the sand section, is going to make his way into a tight left-handed deep rut here where we saw the dramas happen for Craig Anderson earlier on, and then of course having to start his bike. The only thing for Liam here, let's evade any of the lapped riders that could potentially bring you down as he approaches the finish line here, and a sensational victory in Moto 2 of the classic Evolution Cup here, 10 minutes plus a lap. What a great job. He'll be over the moon with that. He's going to go in prime position for the final moto of the day, Danny Ham.
Great ride all the way through. One of our other riders there, the 89 machine, having a little problem. Again, Terence Murrell. We did see him down in the first race as well. But of course, they are up and running and going to finish off this one, which is the main goal for the day. Just go out there and enjoy themselves. That bike there,
it doesn't look as old to me as what it should. That's certainly not a 20. Yes, that looks like an 88 model to me. I think I can picture Craig Dack, Mr. Motocross. Someone's definitely done himself a bit of mischief here. It looks to be number, is that 89?
Yeah, Terence Morrill, so
right.
That's not good.
No. It's not a little fun tip over. That looks like either a bit of bike damage and or body. So, but no dramas whatsoever. Looking cool as a cucumber is Liam Beverley there, and the body and head looking a lot younger than the bike, shall we say. Liam Beverley, number 133, with a sensational win. Danny Anderson, after a little drama there, holding on to second. Brett Riley in third. Ando made his way up to fourth. It's not all Ando doing his thing. He always manages to stay in there. David Middleton rounding out the top 5.
Trent Ellison, Brian Little, Gary Brown, Christian Joyance, and Stephen Sweeney round out our top 10 as we head down to the winner with Rihanna.
Yeah, taking out the second moto of the day for the Classic MX Evolution Cup, Liam Beverley. I don't know who's having more fun, you guys, the guys that own the bikes, or the two boys in commentary?
To be honest, I think it's going to be the two boys who own the bikes. Track's rough, but not as bad as I thought it was this first sight lap, but yeah, it's a lot quicker than the first moto, I think, anyway. I don't know what happened to Craig. Unfortunately, he wasn't there, but his younger brother was giving it to me a little bit there, so no, it's good. Ready for the third one.
You're feeling good and feeling that the bike can take the test in the third one?
Oh, I wouldn't know if it can take the test. These things are a bit of a handful around a track like this, but yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm listening up a little bit, so third motor should probably be better than that one again.
Congratulations, Liam. Looking forward to it. Well done.
Wow, looking clean as a whistle is Liam Beverley there. Fantastic job, and I'm loving the Bob Hurricane Hannah little lightning bolt there. So great job to these guys. Fantastic. That is us for the moment. Thanks so much for joining us at the live stream. We are back at 1:30, and of course the Penrite Oil ProMX Championships brought to you by AMX Superstores. We've got plenty more to go for the afternoon. Looking forward to having your company back once again.